Engines begin to rev as well. Tension in the air for round two. The iRacing iRX All-Star Invitational, powered by Yokohama. Great launch from the front row, but an even better launch from Tanner Whitten, who gets checked up. And there's contact with Martel, I do believe, sent down the inside from backward. And there's carnage in through the final corner. Scampering into the race lead, though, I believe it's Brandon Semenak with Tim Stevens in close pursuit, with Tanner Whitten up into the podium positions.
And that was Connor Martel and Mike McKinney involved in incidents. Backerud crew on his roof and almost flipped over the barriers. The Norwegian sending himself back to Norway. Just forgot to wrap himself up in a box as he put his address on that package. Daytona International.
And taking full advantage of track limits as you are allowed to here, Johnny, as they work their way down into the International Horseshoe.
Tough braking zone from 220 kilometers an hour. All the way down to 100 through the apex. And we look from the rear end of Tanner Whitten, and then you can see Krogstad in the background as well, flying through the jump. He's in with an opportunity for victory. The two Hansen Williams esports drivers will be working together here to hopefully shove Whitten out of the way. And there we go. Kevin Hansen bullies his way past. Whitten tries to squeeze him into the wall. That'll take them both out. The C's part. Now, did Krogstad go through? There he is. Henrik Krogstad into the lead with a few laps remaining.
It will be Krogstad versus Whitten, but now Semenak might try and take advantage. More bumper cars between the two of them as Whitten launches himself over the anti-cut curb and over the inside of Krogstad as well. Wonderful car control from two drivers who have lots of experience at dueling it out wheel to wheel on the virtual, not in the virtual dirt, real world dirt as well, Johnny. And they are showing each other just how much fun they can have racing across the globe.
Certainly, here's a replay of Krogstad watching the lead battle unfold. You saw Whitten wasn't happy with Hansen's bump and run, shoved him out of the way. Krogstad nailed the throttle, did not lift, and makes his way into the lead.
Full commitment there. White flag will be in the air this time around. Krogstad slightly deep under the brakes, but he is looking fairly comfortable, Johnny. Whitten 7/10 as we come across the line.
Well, the pressure's on for Krogstad. As we said, raced in the Sim Racers World Championship. Did a decent job of it too. Your 2020 RX2 champion. Whitten's going for it. He went for the win and he sent it. He's turned around that hand second position to Brandon Semenak. And Tanner Whitten will still be on the podium if he keeps it together. But what a victory this will be for the Norwegian Henrik Krogstad. The young man makes his way through to the final braking zone of the day as we're still racing here down the back of the pack, but Krogstad will win.
So that's Huffman scrapping it out with McKinney. Out of the final corner, though, for the Williams Handsport esports driver. Competed in our World Championship last year. Who's that flipping end over end in the background? Might have been Tim Stevens. I'm not sure exactly who there is. There you can see it is Stevens still accumulating those frequent flyer miles. So drama all the way till the end, Johnny. I will say these iRX All-Star Invitationals, just a little bit of fun for all of these drivers to get under their system.
Live from the virtual Sonoma Raceway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Wine Country for Week 3 of the iRacing Rallycross All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama. We're happy to have you strapped into the seat and along for the ride with us tonight with this special presentation of iRacing on RaceSpot TV. We're alongside myself, Evan Pasoka, joined by Jonathan Saban. Our producer downstairs is Tyler Maxson, along with the entire team at RaceSpot TV and iRacing. And Jonathan, we're back for round number 3. This has been a fun series to watch for the last couple of weeks. We head back to the United States for a doubleheader that starts here in Sonoma.
Yeah, certainly do. Good to be back here. Sonoma is a fan favorite. It's a driver's favorite. It's an undulating circuit. Plenty of famous battles have happened here over the years in Rallycross. It's our penultimate round of the All-Star Invitational. How quick is this? And then we head back to Atlanta for the sim races in an hour's time. We finish at Charlotte next week, but all focus is on this luxurious circuit around California. And we always speak about this, Evan, when you and I cover a race here at Sonoma, is that that's not sand or gravel on the outside of the circuit. That's just grass. And in the winter months, this circuit is very striking to the eyes. It can be quite green.
It's a beautiful circuit in the spring, but when you get to the summer, it dries out, and that's how you get almost a desert-like appearance. This is also going to be the last week in which we split up our pro and sim drivers. Of course, they were all on track together at Brands Hatch when it was Andreas Backerud, the pro winner, and Johan Harth in the sim cars. The last time out, Daytona, the pro win, went to Henrik Krogstad, and it was Jani Olakalainen who came home with the sim racers win. So next week, Johnny, we're going to go back to Charlotte for the finale. They'll still be in separate heats, but at least all on the same track. Tonight, the final time, we get a double dose of action, and it starts here tonight with your pro drivers. We'll start right now. Drivers at a 5-minute single car qualifying session, 3 laps to get the best, and now we're going to go heat racing. 5-lap sprints. The top 2 from each heat race will go to the feature, and then we'll have an LCQ at the end of it all to see how many more drivers we need to qualify in to a 10-driver, 10-lap heat. My favorite part, the fact that that is going to be a total field invert when we get to that feature.
Yep, everything inverted today from the heats to the features. So qualifying on pole is probably a detriment more than anything. But we saw Henrik Krogstad do this last week, qualified on pole and then make his way up through the field for a podium during the race and a race win as well. So that was rounds 1 and 2 for Krogstad. Will he do the same thing here today, take that victory, take his second win? We haven't had a repeat winner. Andreas Backerud won this race at Brands Hatch for the first round, and then Krogstad obviously took the honors at Daytona. You talk about next week as well, Evan. We've never been to Charlotte for an official iRacing Rallycross event on the iRacing service. Yes, there's been official series races in a sense. That's different to what I call official in terms of World Championship or All-Star Invitational. That should be interesting. We have visited Sonoma many times. Pole position is critical around here usually, Evan. 3 of the 6 sim racing World Championship events have been hat tricks. That's where you score pole, heat victory, and feature race victory. But with an inverted grid, that's all thrown out the window. Henrik Krogstad's got to do this from the back because he has taken pole position 2 rounds in a row.
That's right, the qualifying session draws to a close. We are ready to go for heat race number 1. Let's take a look at our RaceSpot TV starting grid. So Blake Bilko Williams ends up top of the board, and again, that's via the invert, bringing us to the green flag for heat race number 1. Going to be joined alongside by Bucky Lassick in second. Tim Stevens will roll from third alongside with Sivert Svardal in 4th position, and Henrik Krogstad in P5. A look at your starting grid for the first heat race. Johnny's standing start, I should say, as always, in a very short one with only a 5-lap dash. Only the top 2 pay out. Great opportunity for the cars that are going to be lined up on that front row to get away from some of this chaos. A very short run down to a tight right-hander for turn number 1.
And here we go. Lights about to illuminate to kick off round number 3 of the All-Star Invitational. Sivert Svardal is a rallycross racer in the FIA World Rallycross Championship and European Rallycross Schedule 2. This is his home. Although he's got to do it in North America, ironically. We go green to kick off Heat 1, and he's already had a brilliant getaway. He's going to try and slice up everybody on the inside. Sivert Svardal to the lead.
And it was Tim Stevens, the big loser. He got turned around. So for the middle of the pack, he goes to the rear. Also, Bilko Williams misses the start. He's rolling from the rear. And early in this heat, it is Svardal from nearly to the back, all the way to the race lead early as we head off and into the dirt.
So 3 heats. Top 2 will advance to the feature from this heat. And we had a technical issue there with Bucky Lassick, perhaps. He's appeared back on screen. Sometimes that can happen in sim racing. Bilko Williams, by the way, on the radios behind the scenes says he just got off a flight and he might still be drunk. Now, we don't condone drunk driving, but who knows, as he heads into to end here lap 1. This is still lap 1 here because the start line is so far back. You can take the Joker this time by. There's been contact there between Lassick and Krogstad. And Lassick there misses the jump as well, so he's not had a good run on the outside there, but I think you'll get away with that. You won't receive too much of a penalty. I think he's just had a whisker of a wheel on the jump.
Yeah, he's going to be okay. It looks like he's not going to be penalized, and Lassick ends up with that spot. So it'll move Krogstad back to 3rd, and now a huge advantage up front with Svardal in the lead. But, you know, with Williams missing the grid in this race with the spin for Tim Stevens early in that opening lap, it's basically down to a 3-car race at the moment. None of these drivers up front yet to take that one mandatory Joker. And on cue, there goes Lassick. He's off it in the dirt a little bit wide, and oh, he's going to go into the fence. Gave it too much, and Bucky Lassick wrecks it on the Joker, and instead of saving time, that's going to cost him dearly.
Yeah, certainly. And he's been very quick in Rallycross machinery, Lassick. He's made some feature races in our previous All-Star Invitationals. He's raced in the Red Bull Global Rallycross Championship in the past, so he's no stranger to Rallycross racing. Tim Stevens, after a poor start, is right behind him. But remember, it's the top 2 that advance, and that's all that matters right now. So Krogstad's made his way up through the field, and Svardal. So your 2 European Rallycross racers doing quite well. And here is Krogstad, your RX2 champion from 2020, representing Team Yellow Squad and the Hanson Williams Esports team. But Svardal, how about this? Debut performance, and will potentially... Now, this will normally be pole position, Evan, for the feature in our Sim Racers event, but for this one, because it's inverted, he'll have to start from the back if he wins this one.
Yeah, kind of a double-edged sword. He was the 3rd best driver in practice earlier, qualified in position number 4 overall. So with the invert and the flip, that put him, of course, on the 2nd row, P4 in the starting grid for this one. But the inside positioning into 1, I think, was the big key, and really nosing it down over the jump as he takes the white flag and 1 lap to go in heat race number 1. Still waiting for a couple of these drivers to make their final moves. His advantage pretty comfortable right now, though. 5.7 seconds plus for the top position. What a showing. You talk about first time out for Svardal here, and he is putting on a show, staying mistake-free. These drivers have the advantage of not having the damage turned on, right? So you can make a mistake and get away with it, but picture perfect thus far into the final corner.
Yeah, definitely. And some of these drivers will be thankful for that after the beginning of this race. So Svardal advances. Krogstad will take to the Joker on the final lap. So you can't take the Joker on the final lap of the race. Oh, excuse me, on the first lap of the race. You can take it on the final lap. Look at Bucky Lassick in the background there, by the way, butchering the exit of the jump. Bilko Williams rounds out the field towards the back of the pack too. And there is Bilko Williams coming to the final corner. He has just got off the flight, ladies and gentlemen, but he is sober for sure. And he comes across the jump. But the thing is, he's down on practice, Evan, for today. He's going to have a second punt at it during the consolation races. But I think every lap for Bilko Williams at the moment is some experience he needs because he is well off the pace.
Honestly, his last lap was faster than the best lap of 2 other drivers, so may have something for them in the LCQ. There's a look at your Heat Race 1 results. So it is Svardal and Krogstad moving on to the feature. Stevens, Lassick, Williams all going to find themselves in a pair of LCQs a little bit later on. Let's take a look at your starting grid for Heat Race number 2. 4 drivers set to roll. 3 wide on the front with Mario Bonfanti Jr., Landon Huffman in the middle, and Brandon Semenuk to the very outside. And on his own, on the 2nd row, the number 21 of Connor Martell. That could prove to be a good position to be in if that 3-wide race down to, again, that real tight turn number 1, almost a hairpin of sorts has some fireworks like we saw in the opening heat race of this one. Maybe Martel being behind going to be a better option, but the big advantage in heat race 1 came when Svardal made that inside line work. So let's see if Bonfanti can make it work from the inside of a 3-wide front row. We're getting set for heat race number 2. Lights active, ready to go racing for the second heat race of the afternoon for your pros from the virtual Sonoma Raceway. 2 drivers already into the feature. Drivers up and on the revs. We're racing for heat 2 outside. Brandon Semenuk gets a good jump. Oh, and a big shunt. Huffman gets moved. He recovers and landed Huffman to an early race lead.
Lucky four-wheel drive in these cars. When you start to get into a spin, hammer the throttle, turn yourself the right way around. And ironically, Mario Bonfanti Jr. not the right way around. He's still making his way over the jump. So Semenuk, I was going to say Semenuk leads, but that's what it says on the timing screen, but it's certainly not Brandon Semenuk. It's Landon Huffman. There we go. Timing screen updated at the end of the first sector from Connor Martel in the pictures, who's just been overtaken by Brandon Semenuk. So he's into second. Martel has some work to do.
Certainly looked like Semenuk was going to have the start of the race, but again, that outside allowed Huffman to get underneath, and then it was the wild shunt, courtesy of Bonfanti, who pushed him into it. That 37 locked up the front tires both into turn 1 and turn 2, and it caused a little bit of chaos off at the top that has allowed, as you see, a joker lap completed there by that number 75 machine Huffman from the top position, which will certainly close the gap just a little bit, but he has been very comfortable up in front. Semenuk ends up in the number 2 position. He has opted not yet to go for that joker, and you talked about the uniqueness of the fact that that joker lap basically being cutting the final quarter of this lap, meaning these drivers can actually save that till the last lap of the race. Huffman wanted to get out of the way early. Very different strategy from what we saw to Svardal in the first one, where he took it on the final lap.
Yeah, it's a North American style joker, so it's a shortcut. 1.9 seconds is the delta. And so far, everybody in the field has taken it except Brandon Semenuk. The gap between Huffman and Semenuk's 3.6 at the moment. So if he takes it next lap by, he will not overtake Landon Huffman. Now, what you see in the European circuits where it's not a shortcut, the joker is the long way round, is that you actually save it towards the final lap. When you come to the North American venues, such as Sonoma, the earlier you can take it, the better. And that's what Landon Huffman's done to get himself some clear air. As we ride on board here with your leader, 3.5 the gap to Brandon Semenuk behind. I think he's got this race in the bag, and Brandon Semenuk, we believe, behind right on the right-hand side. Will he appear? He's taken the joker, but he remains behind Landon Huffman. Oh, he's not even close.
Yeah, Huffman's advantage closes, but it's still a pretty hearty 1.5 seconds between first and second. Look at the live intervals, bottom right corner of your screen. Only the top 2 paying out, and both of the cars up at the front of the field have taken their jokers. They are good to the end of this race. So the only hope for somebody like a Connor Martel would be, do they have a joker available? The answer, no. He took that right out of the gate at the end of the opening lap of this race, and in fact, Martel a little bit slow towards the rear. So unless it's a mistake from these top 2, Huffman and Semenuk sitting pretty good for those top 2 transfer spots. And you can see that 180 close enough to where I think if Huffman makes a bobble, this thing's not done yet. White flag in the air. Semenuk faster than Huffman the last lap. Johnny, I just think he's going to run out of room to catch him in time.
Yeah, so I investigated what happened to Martel there, and I think he received a slowdown penalty. So you see these anti-cut strips and these cones here on the inside. If you swipe those, which Semenuk came close to, you will be told to slow down by the iRacing service. So it's something that you're told locally. It's essentially automatic race control. But with Semenuk taking second here, it will actually benefit his grid position for the feature. So this is not so bad for Brandon Semenuk, although Landon Huffman, with confidence, even though he'll have to start towards the back of the pack, advances. So those 2 make it through. Martel, your rallycross racer, does not. He'll head to the consolation race, and here's Mario Bonfanti Jr. That's probably the best I've seen Mario Bonfanti Jr. on pace, so he certainly made an improvement there, only 13 seconds behind your heat winner. And as we head over to the final heat of the day, we've got a few new names. There are the results from that one. So your top two advancing, like we said. Jim Deschamps will lead this field away alongside Emily Jones and Matthew Biscaglia. Scott Speed towards the back of the pack. This is an action-packed heat coming up. 4 talented drivers right now. Jim Deschamps in the star car. Emily Jones, one of the best sim racers in the world, racing in her first iRX All-Star event. Matthew Biscaglia is a motocross and supercross racer. And then you've got Scott Speed, a 4-time rallycross champion, racing for Subaru.
And if those first couple of heats were any indication, that middle of the front row is not the position that you want to be in. So the Porsche All-Star champion, Emily Jones, in the middle of the front row could be in a tricky spot. It's going to be Deschamps on the very inside, the pink and blue Nitro Circus Subaru, and in the very outside for Biscaglia could be a tricky spot as well. We'll see if Scott Speed wants to play it safe. Not normally his MO. We'll see how the 41 plays it from the very back of 4 drivers, 2 spots left in the feature. It's heat race 3. Is that a jump for Biscaglia on the outside? Got on the brakes. The run down to turn 1. Jones with the lead and clears Deschamps on the inside. What a drive, in the first time we're clean through turn 1.
Yeah, now Scott Speed's taken the Joker, so we just have to confirm from race control that they'll allow that, because you would be allowed that when he was racing in motorsport or in rallycross in the real world, but on the virtual service, will he be hit or swiped with a penalty? I think he'll be fine, but we'll get confirmation of that later enough. So Emily Jones now in 2nd, Jim Deschamps 3rd, and Biscaglia was in 4th, but in the carousel right behind the scenes has taken 3rd position from Deschamps. So that's in the background. There's your order. There's your field. Everybody's in contention for a transfer position. Oh,
and maybe some sort of a penalty. I think Biscaglia may have had a penalty just from jumping the start initially. I saw the little bit of movement, got back on the binders, but that could have been a disqualification or a penalty right there. So Biscaglia very clearly out of this race. Meanwhile, Jim Deschamps going to take the Joker at the end of lap number 1. Emily Jones opting not to, and maintains the race lead in this one. And an issue with Scott Speed as well now. He was in a very good position. Maybe found out that that Joker was not going to count. Maybe had a penalty because he's now out of this race. And all of a sudden, Johnny, we've only got 2 left.
Well, what's the point of running the rest of this event? Because those top 2 will advance. Biscaglia, by the way, has rejoined the racetrack. So he's pulled over to the side for some form of issue. So I think we've still got 3 running. So there's still... You can't retire the car in advance, but for Scott Speed, he was in that blue Subaru you saw pulling off the side of the racetrack from the lead, and I do believe it was due to either a disqualification or something for taking the Joker on the opening lap. He'd be accustomed to winning those championships and doing that. Can't do that here today on the iRacing service. It's just unfortunately the way it works, but well done, Emily Jones. Was with no practice for this one. She's very quick in anything tin top. You know, her first word, Evan, was car when she was younger, and look at her driving splendidly here today.
Well, that turn 1 was the biggest thing because I was worried about that 51 being in the middle of the 3 wide, right? That has not worked out for several drivers tonight. Didn't work out for Tim Stevens in heat race number 1. Was not the place to be, at least in the case of Bonfanti and Huffman and Semenuk. They basically all got together in heat race number 2, so I thought she was going to be the sandwich in the middle of all of that, but it was a real hard, aggressive drive in as we brought on board with her and has basically opened this one up.
Yep, so this is the carousel through Sonoma. This is a very beautiful layout, and this is what NASCAR used to use for a few years, and then we head back onto what's normally the NASCAR road layout around here.
And the carousel is the better layout. I'll say that as well. It is so much fun. Fun when we toss the dirt on it in these things, but even in a big old, clunky stock car and trying to get that thing to rotate going down the hill is a ton of fun. And there's going to be the Joker lap for Jones as she comes to take 1 to go.
Yep, so this is the drag strip as well, so Emily Jones should be able to advance along with Jim Deschamps. Biscaglia is a couple laps behind. He's also got a penalty to his name for a jump start, so good spot there, Evan. Sometimes these cars, the clutch can almost slip, and it looks like a jump start. That's if you watch Scott Speed at the start, it looked like that happened to him, but he did not jump the start. It was the penalty for the Joker that he has to take. And now Emily Jones heads back onto what we call in Rallycross the bowling alley. She's flipped it all on her own. Oh, has she blown the engine perhaps? I heard something pop there. The car's still going. The turbo in the back is still winding, and she's going to win this race.
It came back down on all 4 tires. Final corner, Jim Deschamps going to get within 2 seconds at the end, but with a flip included, Emily Jones will dominate and win heat race number 3, advance to the feature. And man, oh man, that could have gotten certainly a lot worse, but what a way to advance. I was just about to say, with everybody else penalized, just don't wreck the car. She about did it, but did a flip over, and you can see still winning by 1.9 seconds, headed to the feature alongside the second place finisher. Now we will look towards an LCQ.
And here's your grid. So Bilko Williams with more experience under his belt. We know he just got off a flight, so he said he's down on practice for this one and he's struggling. Certainly enjoying himself. Starts alongside Scott Speed, Mario Bonfanti Jr. around the outside. So we talk about the bowling alley here. That's the beginning, the run down to the first braking zone here at Sonoma into turn 4. It's a tough one. And then the rest of the grid up on screen, rounded out by Tim Stevens at the back of the pack. 4 will advance, and we say goodbye to 3. But, Evan, it's famously coined the bowling alley because it looks like a bowling alley. It looks like you could throw a bowling ball down there, take out all these cars, and that's certainly what happens here at the start. It's a heavy braking zone, and it tightens on exit.
2 for 3 thus far in those heats, as far as a little bit of chaos off and into the first quarter in a significantly larger field than anything we've seen thus far. As you mentioned, everybody ready to go. Maximum of 7 drivers allowed to take to the green flag in this one. I think we've got most of them on track. I don't see Bilko Williams at the moment. Other than that, I believe everybody accounted for, and we're off. This is the LCQ. Good advantage for Scott Speed into the first corner. Punted around is Bisciglia.
Yep, so he has had a horrible first event here in the All-Star Invitational, one to forget. So Scott Speed leads from... Now, Stevens has taken a joker on the opening lap. I don't think this is allowed. Tim Stevens has taken the lead.
It should be a penalty, right? We saw Scott Speed penalized for that, presumably at the end of Heat 3. This could really hurt Tim, who four of the 5 cars in this race, with 2 not taken to the green flag, going to advance, and you don't want to take yourself out. Right now he's fighting for the race lead, but I don't know if Stevens going to be allowed to keep his result for this race. We'll see.
Well, if he doesn't, it's not going to matter because the in-service race control, it's not even our race control behind the scenes from iRacing. The actual robotic race control will penalize him 30 seconds at the end of this event. So Scott Speed takes to the joker legally and will reclaim the lead. Tim Stevens to the jump. And he'll be in 3rd because Connor Martell has snatched that 2nd position. Doesn't really matter anyway. Your top 4 advance. Mario Bonfanti Jr. is out of this one. Bisceglia is still in. So we've already had 2 retirements. 4 drivers now. Excuse me, 5 drivers fighting for 4 transfer positions. And we think Stevens' day is done.
We'll keep an eye on that to see. Of course, you saw Martell go for the joker, was able to take away that spot, and now looks for the lead, and way wide in the corner, giving that one up and getting way out of the way was Bilko Williams, who was slow back onto the racetrack, and again, he missed the green flag, so he's a lap down in this one. That is not for position. Tough break that he missed both the grids. He was showing some speed. I mean, like I said, he didn't have the slowest best lap in his heat, so he had improved, but if you can't make it on the grid in time, not going to help yourself out.
Well, I'm a bit confused. So the first grid he missed because I think he was talking some trash to Scott Speed, just a bit of friendly banter between the 2. The second one, I'm not sure if he was in the server. I think he might have had a technical issue and had to jump out and then jump back in. But thankfully, he hasn't missed his flight home, which is the most important part about this. He is home. He is safe and tucked in. The Australian, currently living in the United States, so he's not up at a ridiculous hour like I am at 7 a.m. in the morning. But for Scott Speed, finally, he gets away unscathed, takes the lead. Now, the driver who finishes this consolation race in 4th will have pole position for the next one, your feature race. At the moment, that is the Bucky Lasek, your famous skateboarder, who's also made the trip onto 4 wheels. When I say 4 wheels, I say with an engine. Ain't no skateboards with engines out there that... Well, actually, there are, Evan.
There probably are these days.
Yeah, I take that back.
But he's doing a good job of holding that spot. And he just slapped the wall just as I said that. Lasek spinning in the background there. Your race leaders are fine. And he gets shunted again. Lasek got blown by As the cars came through for position, that was Williams just at the same time that Bonfanti was coming off of the starting line. And that was 3 cars meeting from 3 different directions, and that has bumped Bucky Lasek from the final transfer spot and subsequent pole position for the feature. White flag in the air, last lap for the LCQ. Speed Martel gonna fight for the win into the final few corners. Looks like they're both gonna be safe at in. Does the 21 dare to make a dive?
Don't make a dive. We've seen it happen in the past. Even our sim racers who do this for a living, hours on end, day after day, have got that wrong into the final corner. Speed from Martel, that's the result for that one. Here's Tim Stevens. Now, his penalty will come in a few seconds' time. I think he'll be dropped down to the back of the field. Biscaglia, we think, is taken third, which means Bucky Lasek, after being taken out from all angles, bish, bash, whack, everywhere, will still make it through in that 4th position. It'll still take some time to update, but we think it's going to come through soon that Tim Stevens will be demoted. And no, he has. So Tim Stevens has had a penalty, but he's had the time advantage on Lasek. So Tim Stevens actually makes the feature. That's incredible. There's the advantage there, opening up on the results screen, Evan. So Tim Stevens with a 10-second penalty handed to him for that one. Lasek's incident has cost him a transfer position.
Yeah, Stevens crossed the line third, but a 10-second penalty puts him from 5 seconds to 15 off the race leader. That is still a lower interval than Bucky Lasek, so Tim Stevens is still going to make the show. We'll take this opportunity to step aside. When we come back, the pros go feature racing at Sonoma. You're watching the iRacing Rallycross All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama.
Nitro Rallycross took the racing world by storm with the biggest jumps.
That is what Travis was hoping for.
The best drivers. And the most intense action ever.
It's gone up the inside again. We've got 3 cars.
In 2021, Nitro Rallycross is expanding with 5 epic races across North America. Designed by Travis Pastrana, each brand new, purpose-built course will be the biggest, fastest, and craziest the sport has ever seen. From the mountains to the Great Lakes, the desert, and the Sunshine State, Nitro Rallycross is coming to a racetrack near you.
Oh, and that goes sideways over the jump. He spins. Maybe there was contact on the way in.
Block, unbelievable. Wow, it's like they're launching out of a machine gun.
Nitro Rallycross, the series, revving up and taking off this September.
And back live for the virtual Sonoma Raceway, where RaceBot's special presentation of the iRacing Rallycross All-Star Invitational, presented by Yokohama, continues here on RaceBot TV. We're ready for the pros to go feature racing. Want to take an opportunity to thank all of our friends for making tonight's broadcast possible. And of course, that starts at the top with iRacing, including the NASCAR Next Gen cars. They are here, and you can try them today on iRacing. Now's the time to get in on the action with the future of NASCAR, iRacing, Rallycross, or any other form of virtual racing you can imagine. New users can get their first year for just $20.22 using the promo code PR-2022 NextGen at iRacing.com. But hurry, this offer expires tomorrow and by our friends at Yokohama. There's one thing that separates first place from the rest of the pack: the finish line. High-performance, race-inspired Yokohama Audubon tires give you the drive to win. Discover Audubon at yokohamatire.com. So a little bit of fireworks, Johnny, a flip, some spins, and a lot of smashing and bashing through the heats in the LCQ, but we've whittled down our pro field from 13 to 10 drivers getting set for a full field invert 10-lap feature here from Sonoma.
I'm sorry, before, Evan, did you say you can sign up to iRacing for 1 year for just $20?
2022, so $20.22. I would get on that. If I wasn't, of course, already locked up.
Yeah, obviously we live stream these events, but I do see comments every week of drivers who, well, they're not drivers yet, but people who are watching who don't actually subscribe to iRacing. That is a mammoth deal. 1 year for $20.22. That's almost basically a month's subscription in a sense. It's almost like that on iRacing. That is a deal. That's probably the best deal I've ever seen on the iRacing service. So get involved in that one. We're going to have a lot of new members for sure taking advantage of that. So jump in, get yourself some Rallycross machinery. You can race in the rookie classes, build your talent up. But you talked about the race, and we've got 10 of the best now whittled down, like you said. Tim Stevens will start from pole. Now, the grids here at Sonoma, it's a 3x2 by 3x2 grid. Those are your 10. And the front 5, that's critical, because if you can shove somebody out of the way to the outside, it opens up the inside line. But you're very nervous at the front. Is anybody going to shove you out of the way? Remember, Rallycross is extracurricular physical activity. Or will they be respectful and hand you the lead heading into that first braking zone? I doubt so.
We'll see how it plays out. Let's go trackside. Take a look at your starting grid. So 3 wide on the front row. Tim Stevens, final transfer, gets the top spot alongside Matthew Biscaglia. Then Connor Bartel to the very outside in third. Scott Speed and Jim Deschamps going to double up for row 2. You can see Semeta, Krogstad, Jones, the next trio, Huffman and Spardal to the rear. Based on that inverted grid, those names, those final 4 on the back, were the fastest cars of the evening, your heat winners, and your top finishers. So those are going to be the drivers, I think, that you're going to want to look through to see if they can find their way through traffic, get a spot towards the front of the field, or is this too much traffic? That is a very tight turn 1. We have struggled for much of this evening getting 4 and 5 cars through in Heat 1. Let's see if we can do it with 10 cars on the feature. Looking for the green flag from Sonoma. This is the Pro Driver feature. Green flag in the air. We're off and away. 3 wide of the first corner. Stevens gets touched. A big slide. What a save up top. No, now a spin. Huge wreck. It was Biscaglia around, and Tim Stevens was in the fence.
Oh my goodness. And who's come out of this in first place? It's the Subaru Motorsports USA car of Scott Speed, the man who's had 0 luck in any All-Star Invitational. He was due some good luck sometime soon. He's in the first position. Savert Spardal's in second. Connor Martel is in third.
And Connor Martel, I don't know if we want to call it the Herbie line or the Lightning McQueen line, but he rode the catch fence. He was up and on the fence, but he got hit. 2 tires were up at the wall, 2 tires on the asphalt, and he drove his way through that accident to third, and there was a little bit of a buffer. 1, 2, and 3, and then this pack right here, the battle for 4th on the back, led by Huffman. And a spin from behind. Brandon Semenick got turned around. A little bit of assistance there from Krogstad, so a bit of drama in the battle. That was for 5 and 6.
Well, the VW Beetle is a car option here, and if you want to drive that, you're all inclined to run the Herbie line across the barriers to the outside. I've seen some wrecks in my time in Rallycross. That's not the biggest one I've seen. You watched the All-Star Invitational start at Iowa last year. We were mesmerized as everybody of the 10 were taken out. Here's a replay of what happened, and you catch a glimpse of luxurious millions of dollars going to waste here. Drivers on their roof, almost Tim Stevens into the barrier, Martel grinding up against the barrier, and the star car of Jim Deschamps having his moment to shine.
No lift for Martel. Stay in the throttle, drive it off the fence, and keep on going. And you see on the left-hand side of your screen, Martel up to position number 3. But still a battle for position for the very top spot. Scott Speed and Severt Svardal first and second have opened up about a 2.5-second advantage from everybody else. Both of these drivers, you can see indicated by the yellow crown next to their name, or the Joker lap has been completed for the race leaders. One required in this feature, so that's a straight up heat between 1 and 2. And here comes Martel. He'll go for the Joker to make up some time, and he will slide right in between them for position 2.
So it'll need to be a pass on the racetrack around one of the easiest tracks to pass on in Rallycross. We visited Barcelona, and we visited some other circuits too that are very tight and twisty and difficult to overtake on. This one's certainly not, as we ride on board with Martel. Back onto the tarmac, through the bowling alley, tight corner into here. That's an overtaking spot. They head into the chute, and another overtaking spot coming up into the final corner here. And then over the jump. If Martel can get a good run here across the drag strip, there is an overtaking opportunity into turn 1, and there's some lap traffic ahead of Jim Deschamps, who's still got that car running. That could make the difference. Martel to the inside for the lead, and I think he's done it.
Pushing his way through, Connor Martel just bullied Scott Speed out of the number 1 position uphill through the carousel, and that number 21 Subaru to the lead sends the cone flying. Speed does not want to give it up, but it's going to be tough to keep with that 21 machine on pace alone. Connor Martel started this feature in 3rd. That was courtesy of advancing through by the 2nd place finish in the LCQ, but he has had speed all night long, was the top 6 car in practice, and right now is doing his best as we're halfway through.
The 2018 iRX2 champion making his move towards a potential 2nd victory in the All-Star Invitational. He took one last year, representing Dreyer and Reinbold, and the 24-year-old looking good. Just celebrated his birthday a month ago on this day, a month ago, the 12th of April. And this will be a belated birthday present if he can get it done, passing Scott Speed for victory. Whether or not it's the sim, it still counts. Still good experience for him. He's on the big stage. How about Severt Svardal in the background too, or Severt Svardal, excuse me, over the jump? He's still in contention for the lead. Don't forget him. Remember, he won Heat 1 of this race after making his way through the field. He had to start from the back in 10th.
Last time by, Svardal was the fastest driver on the racetrack with a 40.903. That was about 0.4 of a second faster than Scott Speed up the road. And you can see that 24 closing quickly. If this can become a battle for second, Svardal is going to want to make the pass soon as to not allow Connor Martel to pull away. This time through, going to be 3 laps to go in the Pro Driver feature. And Speed holds him at bay for the time being. It's good news for the 21 up front. You know, talking about the different races, Johnny, that we've seen so far this year at least, right? Backaroo, the winner from Brands Hatch for the pros, and then last time out at Daytona with Henrik Krogstad. So Martel looking to become the 3rd different pro winner in 3 races.
Well, we'll wait and see if he can get it done, because Krogstad has got some blistering pace. He's the quickest driver out there on the racetrack. And remember, the Joker Delta time is 1.9 seconds. At the moment, he's 3.9 from the lead, so you have to say his chances are slim at the moment. But also, he's 2.4 behind Svardal for a podium position. He's right in the background there, Krogstad, who's won the event at Daytona last week, just 7 days ago, and doesn't get the jump also right through the exit. Neither does Svardal, who's stuck behind Scott Speed here. It's very difficult trying to take in all that smoke and all that dirty air coming your way. Hampers your vision. They head through the carousel for the penultimate time. Krogstad's going to save this Joker potentially for the final lap.
I was just about to say, I think strategy-wise, that's going to be the best move here for Krogstad, right? Trying to go back-to-back and back up his win from the Daytona International Speedway. Because if he takes it now, and even if he goes all the way to the race lead, Johnny, all that's going to do is give those guys an opportunity to fight him for it, to move him out of the way. If he does it on the final lap, which he has to now, because 1 lap to go, basically it's going to come down to him on speed alone. Last lap, he was still the fastest, but lost a little bit of time, but still 0.3 better than the race leader. The gap is 3.1 seconds. Going to be razor thin as Martel continues to lead. Speed still holding on for second. And Connor Martel, final set of corners down the bowling alley, which is effectively turn number 1 on the start of this race. Now he'll go off and into the final quarter. Race leader left-hand side, Krogstad right hand. He'll go for the Joker lap. It's not going to be enough to challenge for the win. Martel hangs on, checkered flag. Your winner from Sonoma gets sent for a ride, and a hats off to Henrik Krogstad, who started back in 7th. Jonathan comes back for a P2 finish. Got that gap down to just 0.4 of a second. What a drive.
Brilliant stuff from him. He almost snatched victory. Oh, who's that on their roof? Emily Jones again.
This time didn't come to a land on the wheels.
The engine's still running. You can see the exhaust. And she's still spinning the wheels, I think. Let your foot go from the accelerator pedal, but she'll be out in the 9th position, so she's a DNF. Well, essentially, she'll be classified, but she won't cross the line and take the checkered flag. She's in the only Fiesta in the field. So here are the results. Connor Martel with another victory. The Hammer takes home top position honors here in the iRX All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama. Krogstad, great strategy at the end of the day. Martel by celebrating across the line. I'm not sure if he was aware that Krogstad hadn't taken the Joker, but had he celebrated more, he could have potentially handed the victory to the Norwegian. And Scott Speed, the American, rounds out your top 3. Sverdal, great debut performance. He had to start that feature from the back in 10th, with Landon Huffman, Evan, rounding out the top 5.
Landon Huffman, a race winner just a couple of weeks back at Hickory, I believe, in a super late model race, and a P5 in this one. Semita comes home for P6, and that reason that Emily Jones was upside down, that was a battle with Matthew Basilia. Last lap of the race, they made some contacts and turn off track. He'll end up for P7. Tim Stevens gets a free spot at 8th. Jones a lap down, and Jim Deschamps can't go all the way to the end, and will finish in position number 10. Look top to bottom at your full race results here from the virtual Sonoma Raceway. Halfway through the program, we're sticking stateside, though, this time around, Johnny. We're going to be going back east way to the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. Going to be a fun one of the professional sim racers coming up in the second half of our programming in just a minute. Going to hang tight for a moment, see if we can chat with your race winner from this race. But I think all in all, a great first half of tonight's action.
No, certainly I enjoyed that one. It's a bit of a warm-up for our professional sim racers who do this for a living and have competed in the iRX World Championship. We've had 3 of them so far, heading into our 4th year of that later on in 2021. It's the spring for us. It might be the autumn for wherever you are, heading into the winter or summer, depending on whether or not you're in the northern or southern hemisphere. We will try and speak to Connor Martel, as you said, Evan, who has been driven, or has driven splendidly today for sure. He's from Colchester, Vermont. ARX 2 champion, like we said, in 2018. He's no stranger to rallycross machinery in the real world or virtual. These drivers are down on practice, though, and so are the sim racers. These are some fun events. We do want to take them seriously, but the drivers do also want to come in with no pressure, bit of fun. And for some drivers in the Sim Racers World Championship later, or in the All-Star Invitational, this will be the biggest stage they've ever raced on. And so this is good experience for them, whether you take it serious or not.
And of course, you talked about taking it serious or not, and I think at the end of the day, the focus of this specific series, of course, for these drivers to have fun and kind of mix it up with some different phases, at least on the pro side of things, right? But could also be a fun precursor, Jonathan, for an exciting year of iRacing Rallycross World Championship action to come.
Yeah, certainly. I've loved it over the years. Rallycross has been my thing here for sure since the Grand Prix, the old Grand Prix series went defunct and turned into the Porsche World Championship. But here we are now, and iRacing, and it gets better and better every year. 3 new circuits coming up for that one. We've raced on a couple of them already. Brands Hatch, Barcelona, and then we head to Charlotte next week. Now, some people call Charlotte NASCAR Town, Evan, but isn't NASCAR Town about 30 minutes up the road?
What's funny, Charlotte Motor Speedway is in NASCAR Town in Concord, but Charlotte's actually about 30 minutes down the road, so you could just call it Concord if you want and keep it all in respect. But it is fun because Atlanta Motor Speedway going to be the second half of tonight's doubleheader, and that's another one of those big NASCAR tracks taking up the bulk of the calendar. I know we talked about the Joker, how it being a shortcut is kind of that North American style, and we did have Brands Hatch to kick things off, and of course when we went to Barcelona for the second half of week number 2, but these American tracks have certainly kind of picked up the pace for the second half of this one.
Yep, definitely looking forward to it. Atlanta, what a circuit it is. We'll give you the rundown of the track details and the Joker Deltas and all that kind of stuff later on, because it is an exciting one. We've got the drivers' favorites, the fan favorites here for round 3. Let's go for our Sim Racers event.
The engines to begin revving, and the cars to get underway for 10 laps here. Great launch, from the front row. The two Apex Racing teammates make contact with one another, and Olekainen scampers off into the race lead. Those Apex Racing teammates, Johnny, are done for the day.
Hearth is one of them involved. Hearth is into the gravel. We've got a set car on its roof. That's the 13 of Jacob Rafos. He's turned back the right way around. And I couldn't pick apart who the other Apex car was, because John Robertson's clean. Kevin Ellis Jr. looks good as well. So am I seeing things here, or am I missing somebody? So we've still got to pick apart what happened. But so far in the lead, though, all that matters is that Olekainen is in the first position, and Robertson has fell down the field. It looks like Olekainen has got his... this will be an easy race for him if he keeps it together.
It was Johan Hearth, and I do think it was Robertson and Hearth coming together as more contact at the hairpin as well. Luis Nunez, I believe Kevin Ellis Jr. getting together. All sorts of chaos on lap number 1 then, and big gaps forming between the front couple of cars. Kevin Ellis Jr. up 6 positions into second, with Rasmus Toivonen up 7 into third. Got 2 Set Esports teammates in the podium positions, Johnny. A bit of an unexpected turn, if you ask me.
Yeah, so here's the replay of the start. So there's a lot to pick out here. Kevin Ellis Jr. came steaming in. So there are the 3 Apex cars. So I swear I saw 2 off. So what's happened to the other one? Ah, there we go. So he's rejoined there, John Robertson. So I thought I saw 2 Apex cars off into the wall. I looked to a separate camera to pick apart what's happening, and that's where John Robertson's rejoined. So it was only 1 at the end of the day of Hearth that is out of this race. But at the end of the day, that timing tower on the left-hand side, that's accurate. Olekainen first. Kevin Ellis Jr. after starting 8th is in second. Toivonen after starting last is in third. What did I say about him scoring podiums in features? He's in with a shot here again today.
And we're only working lap 3, so there's still a long way to go. No one has come down onto the Joker just yet. Not sure if we should expect maybe Robertson as we're watching now, or this is Jacob Rafos, no, Tommy Holman, excuse me, in the Set Esports number 87. Some big damage to the right front, and he was the first car coming down onto the Joker, so he might be someone looking for a top 5 finish, but no chance really of a podium just yet, Johnny, because Olekainen well and truly in control, and Ellis is going to have to do something special to close the gap.
Tommy Horman, recently competing in some Rally X Nordic, currently leads the championship after the weekend. That's in the real world. Good on him for getting a real world drive. It's really all about money now for Tommy Horman, because talent's there, and I think he's proved it and will continue to prove it. So somebody sponsor him. If you're watching out here today, he is a mammoth driver. He was, in my opinion, one of 5 different drivers who almost deserved to win the World Championship last year. Not going to name all 5, but certainly came down to a little bit of luck at the end of the day, and Johan Hearth topped that out. But anyway, whatever, we're on towards focusing on this race win. Olekainen, remember, he hasn't raced since that first heat, and I think there's a car ahead here that's going to retire. We see a car. Is that Luc Fournier pulling off to the side of the racetrack? He's going to retire in that Subaru.
Somehow managed to blow his engine, maybe residual damage from all the chaos at the start. The 236 then to the side of the track. In fact, he's going to try and nurse it back down onto pit road. Gap out front is 3.2 seconds. Kevin Ellis Jr. very much enjoying his transition to the dirt side of things, slipping and sliding around. Not something you necessarily want to do in the Porsche 911 Cup car, Johnny, but nevertheless, with that World Championship coming to a close, it does look as though, with Kevin qualifying not one, but two of these All-Star Invitationals so far. He may be making a crack at this World Championship as well.
Yeah, either that or he's just in here for some fun. There's a lot of talent out there that don't currently race in Rallycross, and I feel like this year we're going to have the most talented grid. Certainly be something exciting to see as Luis Nunez here in a nice scrap with Sindre Silva, the two side by side heading into the tiptoe middle sector. Silva will block the apex of the corner. That hampers Nunez's exit. He's got to cover the inside though, because Nunez will have a peek, and he does. Nunez with a drag race onto the next dirt section. We'll have to form up behind Sindre Silva. Oh, behind Sindre Silva, excuse me.
There's a bit of a shove there from Silva coming through the corner that got Nunez all sorts of sideways. He hung on to it, gathered it up in time, but unable to make anything work. So down through the final corner, a couple of car lengths separating them. This is the battle for 5th and 6th. Both of these cars also having come down onto the Joker. Gap out front continues to get extended, but they're not really too close. 3 seconds between 1st and 2nd, with a further 1.3 back to Toivonen in the final podium position. John Robertson riding around all by himself as Nunez gets it wrong and just about gets collected by Tommy Holman. And Holman will slide his way up into 6th. It was looking like a good run for Nunez, Johnny, and it comes to an end for now.
No, but these two we're watching on screen, it's Toivonen who seems to be catching Kevin Ellis Jr. in the gaps. So 7/10 the gap now between the two. Ellis Jr. was quicker some laps, but this past lap, Toivonen has really reeled him in. And is he in with a shot of an overtake with just a few laps remaining? Not the best of runs through turns 3 and 4 there. Here's a replay of what happened between Nunez and Silva. This was a cracking battle as they go through. Oh, there we go. So that's the incident we saw earlier, the spin. And then I think he's been collected by Tommy Holman as well to make matters a little bit worse. So yet to see the Joker from your top 4. Will any of them go for it now? Toivonen's got to do something different. Has he left it too late? And you know what right now? Ellis Jr. is in no man's land. I think he has to take the Joker next time by, even if he doesn't want to. And I don't think it will hurt him too much, but if he doesn't take the Joker next lap, Toivonen will seal 2nd position, because by Ellis Jr. taking it on the final lap, we saw what happened in our heats. It'll interrupt this battle for the podium.
I think if you're Ellis, you actually have to wait for the final lap, Johnny, because we have seen you gain time, and that's what Toivonen should do. Come down onto the Joker, get the extra second from the momentum off the Joker. But for Ellis Jr. to cover off the run from anyone coming onto the Joker, it's always easier that we've seen to take the shorter line. Interestingly, though, I'm so wrong as Kevin Ellis Jr. down onto the Joker. It's Toivonen who stays out, and Toivonen will get his elbows out, Johnny, coming to the line.
Well, he's going to, you know what, Rasmus Toivonen's talented, but he's not gaining a second on the racetrack on Kevin Ellis Jr. unless Ellis Jr. makes a mistake. He's got that covered. Race win will go to the Finn, Joni Ollikainen. Oh, goodness gracious. Good to see him back in victory lane. Has not won a race in quite some time. The last time Joni Ollikainen won an event was the final round at Sonoma. He's got 2 World Championship wins, coming through for a 3rd unofficially.
He will take to the Joker and lights to flag. Fairly easy for the 44 machine. Takes victory in round 2 of our iRacing iRX All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama. And in that fight to 2nd place, it's Kevin Ellis very impressively showing up in the dirt side of things. Toivonen settles for 3rd. The Apex Racing team looking very strong, only getting 2 cars into the top 5 in today's action.
Today's new cars have upwards of 100 computers in them and a dashboard rivaled only by a commercial airliner. But wouldn't it be nice to really know what all that does for you? At Roadshow, we demystify the world of modern transportation with reviews of your next car, the latest news on what's changing the industry, and videos covering every screen and every new feature you'll encounter in the driver's seat. Get informed, get smart, and get going with Roadshow.
In 2018, Nitro Rallycross took the racing world by storm with the biggest jumps.
That is what Travis was hoping for.
The best drivers. And the most intense action ever.
Gone up the inside of Ken. We've got 3 cars.
In 2021, Nitro Rallycross is expanding with 5 epic races across North America. Designed by Travis Pastrana, each brand new, purpose-built course will be the biggest, fastest, and craziest the sport has ever seen. From the mountains to the Great Lakes, the desert, and the Sunshine State, Nitro Rallycross is coming to a racetrack near you.
Oh, and that goes sideways over the jump. He spins. Maybe there was contact on the way.
Ken Block, unbelievable. Wow, it's like they're launching out of a machine gun.
Nitro Rallycross, the series, revving up and taking off this September. Nitro Circus is back with the action-packed You Got This tour. Top athletes in FMX, skate, BMX, scooter, and more are ready to get the party started, throwing down huge world's firsts with more crazy contraptions, more insane stunts, and more high adrenaline fun than ever before. Get ready, because we're coming to a city near you.
I don't even know what's happening anymore.
Get tickets now at nitrocircus.com.
And back live now from the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway as RaceSpot TV's special coverage of the iRacing Rallycross All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama rolls on. It is time for the Pro Sim Racers. Practice session for them just winding down. We'll talk Q and more in just a moment, but as we welcome you back into the broadcast booth alongside of myself, Evan Pasocco, and Jonathan Sabon. Johnny, head things over to you to talk with our second-placed finisher, nearly defending that race win from a couple of weeks back at Daytona, Henrik Krogstad, second in our feature.
Yep, welcome, Henrik. Thanks for waiting, mate. It's been quite a while, but that was brilliant strategy at Sonoma, mate. We almost thought we knew you were going to take the podium, but you could have snatched the victory there at the end of the day. Brilliant stuff.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, it was pretty close. It was. So I was surprised myself as well when it was so close for the victory.
We might have to bring these shortcuts to Europe, man. It brings on a different strategy element to Rallycross, because it's normally you take the shortcut earlier in the event. You've saved it to the final lap, which is normally what you do in Europe with the long way round with the Jokers.
Yeah, it's true. It feels strange every time. So saving up our shortcut to the last lap is better than have to save up a longer cut, a longer joker. So
Yeah. I've got you on that one. Hey, we didn't speak to you last week, by the way, mate, but congratulations on the win. It was finally, you were due a victory in Rallycross somehow, because we know, and for those that don't know at home, but you've competed with the sim racers who are about to race in the World Championship. That's how quick you are in these Rallycross cars on the sim.
Yeah, it's true. But I was struggling a lot when I was competing with the sim racers. They were too fast for me, so it's much better to have fun here.
And hey, mate, what's the go for 2021? We know you're the RX2 champion. Yes, there was only one round, but you were so impressive in that one round. Even the Hanson brothers kept saying so many kind words about you. What's the go for 2021? Are you making the jump to supercars?
I don't know. You know, now with the COVID times and everything, it's extremely hard to keep the progress and get sponsorships. So this kind of I don't know yet how it will go. We are just trying to do the best out of the situation. So we'll see. Of course, I would like to be supercar someday, and the faster the better. But it's all depends on sponsorships.
And last thing, mate, RallyX Nordics on this weekend. Tommy Horman, who's one of the best sim racers in the world on Rallycross, is racing there. He's in lights. I'm surprised. Are you going to be racing there this weekend? I don't think so.
I don't know. I was racing RallyX Nordic last season, and yeah, we won the championship there as well. And I'm not racing RallyX Nordic this year, so.
No, it's all good. But hopefully we see you back next week, mate. You'll be back for Charlotte. Never driven that, have you, on iRacing yet? I'm not sure if you have.
Just some practice and official races. So I think it will be a great event. I love the track, so it will be really good.
Yeah, perfect. All right, Henrik Krogstad, we'll leave you to it, mate. Well done on second place. Won the race last week as well, Evan. Brilliant job in that Rallycross car.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
He's got a real good opportunity to be one of the top finishers as far as you talk about speed and consistency over the course of that one. Hopes that everybody joins us in 3 weeks' time for the last round of this iRX All-Star Invitational coming up on June the 1st, right back here with iRacing on RaceSpot TV. And now that we transition to the SimPro side of the program, Johnny, the qualifying session underway, the procedure not going to change. We'll still start with a handful of drivers. We like the number in this one, 23, and we're going to whittle it down to 10 drivers for the feature, just like we did before with the real-life pros. So the the how doesn't change, but certainly the who does, and this is going to be a very different race. Yes, these drivers still to have fun in this invitational, but these sim guys, I mean, this is their bread and butter, so there's a lot of bragging rights on the line, and I feel like these guys might be a little bit more intense than what we saw in the first half.
Yep, definitely, and no inverted grids, so this will be just like the World Championship format. And it will pretty much be a simulation of that in a simulation. Bit of a paradox there, but there you go. And qualifying is currently taking place, so the drivers setting their lap times around Atlanta. So we switch circuits here from Sonoma, from wine country, over to the eastern side of the United States, to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, 1.5 kilometers in length, about a mile long. Depending on which units of choice you use, 8 corners around this layout. Here it is. You can see that's turn 1. You can see in the background there's the start-finish straight, or the finish line, I should say. The start straight is about where that dirt is right there. Now, the short version of Atlanta, you actually begin the race on gravel. The long, you begin on tarmac, and it's very unique here around the short layout. It's a 64% asphalt around the long version, 36% dirt split. Now, the Joker Delta time is interesting, Evan, because it's an 8-second shortcut at the merge, but if you take it with some clear air, it's actually 8.4 to 8.5 seconds to the end of turn 7, and that's where sometimes, if you take that Joker in some clear air, you can gain that half a second and not have to battle with a driver ahead.
And that's the substantial difference, the long course here versus the short course, right? If we were doing the short circuit, as you can see the live look at the qualifying times and the time left on the top left of your screen, if we were on the short circuit, it would be that kind of double corner, in this case 7 and 8. On the shorter one, it would be 6 and 7, that long, almost 2-corner combo before that start-finish straight. You would take the Joker there. Very similar to how we saw Sonoma, right? That Joker right before the start-finish. Here on this long circuit, it's in the middle. Basically, you cut 4 and 5 and you go right into 6, and it is a substantial advantage. And we saw that a lot of those fast cars got it out of the way early. I wouldn't be shocked to see that in this one, because turns 4 and 5 and a 10-lap feature is gonna get messy.
Yep, certainly is. That's the donk slide on screen. It was coined by Kevin Carlisle. It reminds him of some good old donks that they used to run, those big wheels. And it's a double apex right-hander, and it certainly produces some good racing. It's a tough overtaking spot because preceding it is a couple of tight left-handers and right-handers, but that Joker cuts all that apart, as you said, Evan, and you gain that 8 to 8.5 seconds, depending on when you take it and where you merge back onto the tarmac. The starts here are great, good braking zone onto tarmac, so you see some good racing, some good battles through there as well. If you thought this race is interesting, wait for Charlotte coming up as well in a few weeks' time. I said next week, speaking to Henrik earlier. I meant next round, but it is a long run down to that first braking zone, 370 meters, one of the longest of the season in Rallycross. Qualifying's over, though, and we got a new pole sitter. I lie, by the way. It is the same pole sitter we've had every round. Joni Ollikainen, 3 poles in a row.
Incredible stuff. 44.352, best of them all, and will be joined by Rasmus Tuominen in second position. Kevin Ellis Jr., Connor Parise with Garrett Lowe and Quinton Delamo in the number 5 and 6 positions. Let's look at your 6-car grid for heat race number 2. Again, only the top 2 to get that ticket into the feature out of the gate on this one. And you can see they're going to line up right before the Joker on the short circuit. So immediately to the right-hand side, you see the cars. You can see the asphalt that cuts in between the 2 parking lots. That's the Joker on the short circuit of the racetrack instead running the long. So that gets the distance on this one up, as you mentioned, just over 1.5 kilometers and 0.97 miles. But we'll see the speed on these straightaways. Everybody lined up and ready to go 2 by 2 by 2. And it'll be, as you mentioned, kind of a double apex 7 and 8 for the opening lap of this race on the asphalt. We'll see how they handle it. Green flying in the air. It's heat race number 1, and here comes Ellis early, pushing his way up to the inside. That is not going to work. They all go to the outside, and the 90 going to be the big money winner up the inside, and a new race leader early in this one. How about Garrett Lowe?
How about that for Garrett Lowe? He is a race winner in Rallycross, and that's why he's been invited to these events. He's received entry based on that, all the way back to his win at 2018 in Iowa. Kevin Ellis Jr., new to Rallycross. He heads to the Joker. You are allowed to take it the first time you pass by. They are the only 2 that take to the shortcut. Everybody else to the donk slide.
And you can see the advantage that they get. They are well out in front of this quartet of drivers. Parise leading the rest, if you will, alongside with Ollikainen. And then you have Tuominen and Delamo. So that's going to be 3, 4, 5, and 6. A significant disadvantage to Lowe and Ellis. And, of course, that Joker indicator on the time and the scoring going to update right there just as they cross the start-finish line. So their advantage grows to almost 9 seconds total over this group of 4. So if I'm them, I would want to break away from somebody else here as soon as I can. One taker. It's the number 22 through the shortcut in the Joker, and that'll put him into 3rd.
So in the background, I thought I saw Ollikainen pull off an overtake on Parise. So Tuominen's had a slowdown penalty for cutting the Joker, and it's true. Ollikainen with an overtake into the donk slide. I spoke about how difficult that is to do. Parise, in his return to the All-Star Invitational, he missed last week due to his wife's birthday. And here's a battle for the lead here. Kevin Ellis Jr. versus Garrett Lowe. The 2 squabbling into the first few corners. Ellis Jr. is going to have to make an overtake to the outside, which is the inside line into the donk slide here. Brilliant overtake by your Porsche Esports Super Cup race winner.
And well executed for those drivers to stay off of each other. There is no reason with their advantage to be taking each other out. And you can see the intervals now going to close in just a little bit as Quinton Delamo, who was at the very back last time by, went for the shortcut this time through. He takes the Joker, jumps up to 3rd. He's looking at about a 2-second difference between being the first driver out and one of the drivers in.
And it looks like at the moment, with Ollikainen not taking to the Joker, he has got the delta on Garrett Lowe. And if he stays in clear air here, he can bridge the gap to Kevin Ellis Jr. and then take that shortcut.
It's close.
On the final lap of the race.
It'll be awfully tight.
Exactly. And I think Ollikainen's going to save this to the final lap. Unless something goes wrong up ahead of him with Rasmus Tuominen, and there's Parise to the Joker. How about that? They both take to the grass on the outside. That'll give you some extra grip. It's more grippy out there than the tarmac, but you've got to be careful of whacking the barrier. So Parise into your transfer position. Now, as usual, your top 2 will advance to the feature race. They get that fast forward. Everybody else will head to the consolation race right behind. Good start for Garrett Lowe, but it's been downhill since.
And the last lap is underway, final time around in heat race number 1. So we're going to see where that lone outstanding joker for Alikainen is going to put him from position number 6. Ellis still leads. Parise low 2 and 3. Let's watch for the 44. He's going to cut through. He's going to blend in just around the outside. What a drive. Just squeaks by Kevin Ellis to the lead in the final corner, and Yanni Alikainen final time through turn number 8, gonna snatch the lead, the run to the checker, and the win in heat race number 1. How about that finish at the end? And Ellis's advantage proves good enough for P2 to get a ticket to the feature.
He took a hat trick last week, and he's on par to do it again today with pole and feature and heat win. If he takes the feature win, it'll be a hat trick. So after the poor start, the said promotion driver makes his way through to the feature along with Kevin Ellis. There are the rest of the drivers going to the consolation races. Your 2020 world champion, Johan Hart, is in this next heat alongside teammate Jake Robertson for the Apex Racing UK team. Kilian Delormo also representing set promotion. The rest of the field includes Garrett Maines, Luke Krause, Luke Fournier rounding out the back. It's a 2x2x2 grid here at Atlanta. It stretches all the way down to 10. We start double file. But for Garrett Maines, he's got to make amends for last week. He was involved in some incidents that weren't his fault, and you'll be hoping the luck's on his side. A very quick talent driving the Smithfield Subaru there on the left-hand side, that number 2. And it's the first time we've really seen him in a Subaru in this series. The more he gets accustomed to that car, the quicker the American will be.
Didn't get any practice time in earlier this evening. Third from the bottom in the qualifiers. So we'll see what Garrett Maines is going to be able to do here for this heat. And it was that third spot on the grid that was the advantage into turn 1. So look for Dalomo on the bottom and the 18 as they run off into turn 7 and 8 on the start for heat race 2. Good on the gears again and drive it up the inside is Dalomo. The top 2 get a touch. That's Johan Hart to the outside. Oh, and spun from the top. Dalomo got it, but got moved out of the way. He goes right back to third, and Hart maintains the lead.
Oh, and there's a huge collision at the back of the pack. That's Kilian Delormo who's involved. The engine's gone. It's popped. There's smoke coming out of the rear end of that one. That was a hefty whack into the barrier. He had a collision with Jake Robertson and the other Apex Racing UK car, or Apex Racing team car, excuse me. So Hart and Robertson continue away, taking to the shortcut. Luke Fournier all over the rear end here of Jake Robertson, who's also taken the shortcut on the opening lap.
Had to be the worst possible place for Dalomo to hit as up the road Fournier was trying to look to the inside of Hart for a battle for second. It came across his nose and it dumped the 18 into a couple of K-rails that are holding that start-finish line, trussing up and just absolutely destroyed that car. Notable there, unlike what we saw earlier with the real-world stars and the pro side of our segment. The sim racers do have damage enabled, and that car was absolutely cleaned out. So Johan Hart, who I thought was dead to rights into turn 1 after he got loosened up in a move by Jake Robertson after they touched, somehow managed to recover and maintains the race lead in this one ahead of Robertson 2, Fournier 3rd, 1, 2, and 3 all already having completed the Jokers. Now need to think intervals back to the likes of Garrett Maines and Luke Cruz. They're about 10 plus seconds off. We saw how tight the margin was with Yanni Jokalainen in the first race there, Johnny. 8.5 seconds. That was just enough, right? By like 2 car lengths to get to the lead. So if Maines wants to make something happen, he's going to need to find a couple of tenths of a second. He is not within that striking distance.
But that's Alikainen as well, stretching the Joker out to benefit him. You know, if a driver's going to get that extra couple of car lengths, it's going to be Yanni Alikainen. You were Rookie of the Year in 2020. And so far in these All-Star Invitational events, we can't look into these too much, but certainly looks like the talent to beat in 2021. So, as you said, Evan, good job unraveling this ball of string, excuse me, as we ride on board with Frenchman Johan Hart. He won a world championship in 2020, finally. He was overdue one of those. Could have potentially got it in 2019. And heads through. This is the donk slide here. This is a thrilling corner. Red Bull GRC did race here back in 2013. Completely different layout to what's used on iRacing. And Hart makes his way through to the exit of 6 into 7. He should snatch heat victory in advance along with teammate Jake Robertson, who's one of the youngest drivers out there in the field. We said Jake Robertson was young in the World Championship. We've had 13 and 14-year-olds, even a 12-year-old race in these All-Star Invitationals. And I'll tell you, they were no joke.
And white flag in the air last time around for Heat Race 2. That 7-8 combo is so fun where you start on the asphalt and then you get the dirt halfway through and have to navigate that and try to get some speed. It's a long run over the hill, over the ramp, and then off to the start-finish line. I mean, it is a long way to go. Joker's going to be coming this last lap for the likes of Garrett Maines and company. We'll see how many spots they pick up from all of this. Looks like they're going to tuck in line behind. Oh, I'm going to make a battle for third as Luke Fournier gets passed in the back end there. So just shy of a transfer spot is Johan Harth. Final corner. Up and over the hill. He is in front of the chaos. He'll win the opening heat. Jake Robertson safe for second. And Garrett Maines, an impressive drive, but one spot short. You saw that battle in the final set of corners. Maines, first driver out from third.
But you'll have good grid position for the consolation races. So good job, Garrett Maines. I expected something good out of him there, and he's done exactly that. We head over to the Heat 3 grid. No, that is not 4-time World Rally Champion Tommi Mäkinen. It's his namesake, Tommi Mäkinen, in his first All-Star Invitational. Raced in our Sim Racers World Championship last year and returns here to Logitech G Altus Esports drivers of Nunez and Albert competing for 2 transfer positions. Louis Lejeune, a Frenchman, returns. He'll start on the second row alongside the Australian Bo Albert. Then Josh Edmondson and Quinton Hamelette also racing in his first All-Star Invitational. Evan, what have you learnt from these first couple of heats so far? Because what I've seen is that the braking zone into turn 1, the 370-meter run down to there, is ever so important.
It was very similar. You got a very tight right-hander right when we were in Sonoma, and this one's the double apexer for 7 and 8, but I think it's going to be won and lost in there. That third spot continues to be critical, so I'm going to watch for Bo Albert here for the inside of row 2. Can he sneak up the inside of Tommi Mäkinen on the front row and make a challenge? And of course, that Joker saving it for the end appears to be the popular choice. Green flag in the air. This is the third and final heat race. Top 2, a ticket to the feature, and on the outside for Luis Nunez goes a little bit wide and off track. Advantage goes to Mäkinen.
Oh, look at that. Mäkinen so physical, didn't even have to get the elbows out. He was just like a wide linebacker. Run into him, and you've got the concussion. Luis Nunez down into 4th after starting on the front row. Bo Albert into 2nd. So the 2 Altus cars have switched positions. Lejeune splits them both. Who's going to head to the Joker? Does the entire field head to the Joker? I think Nunez headed to the donk slide right behind. Your top 3, there they are, taking to the shortcut.
We split them in half. Your top 3 decide to go for the Joker. So Mäkinen 1, Albert 2, and Lejeune in 3rd as we look at a challenge for the race lead. Albert up on the inside of Mäkinen there. Can't get the position, and a lot softer landing for the 95. Gets that drive. And that's why that long start-finish straight, I think, is going to be a factor at some point tonight. Much longer to that finish line than what we saw at Sonoma. Your execution and landing, really, over that jump is critical. But these top 3 knock the Joker out. The back 3 have not. Do they wait till the very end of this race? Or, you know, there's no situation here, Jonathan, where you separate yourself, right? Normally, you're going to want to get away, get some clean track. That's what worked so well early in that opening heat race for Jani Akainen, who was able to get his way to the lead, right? Because he was on his own, getting to lap in clean traffic, no cars in the way, put down good lap times and to pick up the spot. We got a group of 3 and a group of 3. Wow. So nobody's really in clean air right now.
Evan, you've asked me a question, you just answered yourself. So I think there's nothing else to say, mate. You've absolutely nailed it. So the top 3 here, got to be careful about squabbling. Lejeune, see, this is the tough part for Lejeune, right? Don't you reckon? If he starts squabbling away with Bo Albert, it's just going to allow Luis Nunez to close the gap on both of them. That's why they got to be careful right now. Nunez is so close. You will file in right in this sandwich when he takes the Joker. And we know Nunez will take it on the final lap if he thinks he's quicker. If he looks at the lap time and his spotter says, hey, we think you're slower than these top 3, he'll take it next lap by.
And still no takers from the back, but you're right. That's a 9.7 second interval. That should put him right there, either with Lejeune for second position, or kind of splitting the difference between the 28 and the 43. Bo Albert up the road in second, who has got a lot of speed all over the curbs there, working from second spot, but I don't think has the speed to keep up with the number 95. We could be in store, talking about what we saw in those other two heats for a mammoth battle in this feature, right? Heat race number one, we talked about the speed and the likes of Johan Harth, who got the race win in that one, and then your race winner from last time out when we raced at Barcelona back in May, just a week ago, right? With Alakine in there, 2 race winners thus far. They've won both heats. Could be interesting to see if Mäkinen could put his name in that conversation, try to keep that streak of different race winners live.
He's never had a podium, Tommi Mäkinen, in the World Championship, finished 4th. Last year. That was his best result in his rookie season. Minor lockup there. Representing Black Star Racing. It's a very popular Finnish sim racing team. It produces a lot of talent. It's like a supermarket for Finnish drivers. You can really pick up some good ones from there. And if anything, I'd say it's a very luxurious supermarket because you pick up some drivers who are World Championship material, such as Mäkinen. Final lap. So where does Luis Nunez file in? He's made it. Luis Nunez in 3rd. It won't be a transfer position. He's behind teammate Bo Albert. And he'll finish in 3rd, but it's good grid position for the consolation races. Mäkinen wins heat number 3, your penultimate heat. Bo Albert advances to the feature.
So no late fireworks in this one. Those top 2 out of the gate able to defend, and they will join your top finishers from earlier in the evening. We now know the name of 6 of your feature race competitors, and we're going to now put 2 more in as we take a look for heat race number 4.
So there's John Robertson starting from pole. He was oh so close to a world championship in 2020. He won his only ever world championship event at this racetrack. Had pole, win, scored a hat trick as well. Josh Fox alongside him, former race winner as well. Top 10 in the world championship. Jarrett Liebert starts on the 2nd row alongside Sylvain Pelletier, the Frenchman, who makes his first appearance in a rallycross event. Welcome back, I should say, to Marcos Matamoros, the Spaniard. Oh, he's such a good lad, is Marcos. Good to see him back on the grid alongside Matthew Feldman, the Australian, racing from the back. Good to see some Aussies racing at this time of the morning. Final heat, though. Hopefully no wrecks into the first corner. I do enjoy a wreck, Evan. I have to tell you, I do enjoy one, but we hope it stays clean into this one. John Robertson has the inside line. Fox has got his work cut out for him, though, around the outside. So the lights illuminate, and we go green from Atlanta. Final heat of the day. Look out for Liebert on the inside because he's had a rooster of a start and turns around John Robertson. Fox and Robertson to the grass. Robertson still bullied out of the way and out to the outside. And last position, we've got a scrap for the lead.
Robertson looked to recover, but it was Pelletier who was able to kind of get hit again and slide it back in. Now look at this 5-car race off and into the corner, and defending for the number 1 position is Jarrett Liebert, stacking them all up. Who decides to go for the opening lap joker? Your leader does. The 5 slices through. He'll be joined by Feldman and joined by the 26. So once again, 3 go, 3 stay, and we've split them in half.
Yeah, we have noticed that quite a bit, right? We've split up the field on most of these beginnings of the races, so we could see that in the feature where 5 take to the Joker and 5 don't. I doubt we'll see that, though. So, again, we have to unravel the ball of spring. Liebert leads from Feldman. They've taken the Joker along with Sylvain Pelletier, the Frenchman. Josh Fox, the leading driver, not to take the Joker. Robertson with an overtake on your Spaniard, Marcos Matamoros. No way through. Those anti-cut strips can cause some wrecks. You've got to go single file through there. And like I said, Evan, I do enjoy your wreck, mate.
A little bit more controlled chaos, at least on the Atlanta half of tonight's coverage than what we saw over in Sonoma, but it hasn't been for lack of trying. A couple of hard shunts and a battle up front. They're side by side. Liebert at the cross back. Josh Fox going to go back on his inside, and the 5 a little bit squirrely. Nearly ran out of road on the left-hand side. Fox will take that position. Now number 1 halfway through this heat race. So right now, in theory, 1 and 2, that's the place to be. They're in a good spot, that side by side for positions 5 and 6. As Matamoros and others side by side. He with it with Robertson, but still waiting on the bottom 2 to go for the Joker. And at a 10-second gap, they may be out of contention and might be good for Fox and Liebert right now.
Yeah, Tyler Maxon, our producer, has got his work cut out for him because we've got battles throughout the field here. First and second, third and fourth, and a great scrap between Robertson and Matamoros. I was watching behind the scenes. Robertson sneaking an overtake on the Spaniard into the first corner, who's yet to take the Joker. Now, Robertson, you look at the gap to him and the leader. He's got a couple of laps to square off here with Josh Fox, who's no joke in rallycross cars. He's won an event. He's finished top 5 in the World Championship before. And if Robertson can claw back the gap to 8.5 seconds, actually all he needs, because look, Liebert's 6/10 behind, right, Evan? So it's 9.1 between him and Liebert. If he can get another 6/10, he should take Liebert for that transfer position.
And if he can use some of the clean air that he's got right now, John Robertson has the opportunity to make up that time. He'll only have 1 lap to do so. As we ride on board with him, he'll come through 7 and 8. And we'll look for the white flag in heat race number 3. Just watching the intervals, Robertson was the fastest car on track last time by. Remember, Liebert's the key. Liebert, a 45.148 this lap for Robertson. He goes 44.6. So the gap's a little bit closer. This one going to be mighty tight.
So he's going to swing left here on the exit, maximize that, and then swing right. Take the shortcut. Don't cut it too early because that will cause a slowdown penalty. Great exit. Liebert has to hold the racing line, which he doesn't, and that opens the door for John Robertson. How about that? Great experience from a man who's won a World Championship event here at Atlanta. Race winners, John Robertson, Sammy Matty Trogan, a world champion. Mitchell de Jong has won here too. Josh Fox wins the heat. Robertson advances. That's the experience that pays dividends.
Executed it so well. You mentioned the racing line, knowing that Liebert was going to have to swing that car right out to the grass, basically, where we've seen everybody go in there right up against the outside wall, sliced it to the inside, had the speed advantage of not really having to get off throttle through there. And you can see Josh Fox controls this one for the win, but it's the late move by John Robertson. That's the talking point. He will get a ticket into the feature. So now we'll go racing for the C main. Another 5-lap sprint, only your top finisher going on.
Yeah, exactly. There is no time to read this grid, so have a look on screen as to your favorite driver. We have 8 drivers in this consolation event, all the way down to Rasmus Toivonen and Josh Edmondson. I like Rasmus Toimonen's chances. We know he starts at the back in most events, and somehow, without coincidence, always seems to find his way up the order. Podium finisher in World Championship racing. But you can't go past Connor Parisi, Evan. He's in with a good shot here from that first position.
And it's easy. All your third-placed heat finishers towards the top of the board and so on and so forth. Parise finished in the number 3 spot in his first heat. Just missed out, but has the good grid position for this C main. 1 of 2 LCQs, essentially. 2 more spots available to the feature. 1 going to come from this, 1 going to come from the next one. Looking to the lights as we get set to go for the C main. Only the winner going to go to the feature race here at Atlanta. We're off and away, and what a jump for Lejeune. He'll fly through the middle, but Parise fights back at the bottom. There's contact. Off track goes Luis Nunez and DeBoer. Now they're all into the grass and all over each other. Parise gets turned over the hill.
Oh, they're all in the wall, the whole pack. Look at them all. The entire field's crashed. I think only a couple cars made it through. And
Hamlet goes to the lead.
My goodness, Quinton Hamlet in his first event in an All-Star Invitational makes it through the first. Garrett Lowe survived that somehow in the Fiesta. He's made that Fiesta oh so famous. They head to the donk slide. I'm surprised there. That was Hamlet's opportunity to head to your shortcut.
Well, that's what I get for saying that this one hasn't had as much carnage as we did at Sonoma. They made up for it when everybody came together, coming over the start-finish straight, and It has taken a lot of these fast and top competitors out of this one early and dropped significantly back. One thing of note as your race leaders come through to complete lap number 1 is look at the lack of cars that have gone for that Joker early in this one. By this point, we're used to half the field having completed it thus far, but they all stay together. Does anybody want to get away from this traffic? Who feels like they could be faster on their own? There's a couple of takers. Lejeune on through. He'll follow Parise.
Yeah, so Hamlet, interesting strategy there. We'll see if it works out for him. And the Frenchman, yeah, he certainly got some clear air, but I'm not sure if this is the right strategy to take. So Quinton Delormo is a DNF. He's out of this event. Rasmus Toivonen rounds out the field in 7th. Somehow that set promotion car is still running. And there is Hamlet leading Garrett Lowe through. They are the leading drivers yet to take the Joker. Connor Parisi in the lead with Louis Lejeune. They have taken that shortcut. The only one and only time you can take it. And even if you don't want to take it, Evan, you have to take it. It's part of the rules. And to the Joker goes Quinton Hamlet in the background. You might have seen him. Where's he going to appear? There he is, right next to Connor Parisi. This is a dice for the lead.
And Parise saw that move coming, tried to go to the inside. Oh, and he'll take him out. Hamlet was on the bottom. It was the opposite of the move we saw in the fourth heat race, I should say, where it was John Robertson going on the inside of Albert. This time, Parise saw that, tried to block. They came together in 7, and he got turned around. And through all of that, Connor Parise now maintaining the number 1 position, just ahead of Louis Lejeune in the number 2 spot, but what a rotten way for that one to come to an end, because that was going to be a great fight for that top position. Remember, only the top spot pays out in this LCQ.
And he's misjudged the switchback. So if Connor Parisi advances, he will, I'm not sure if he'll receive a penalty for that or not. I doubt so. It will most likely be paid next week, well, for next week's event, but that's heartbreak and the fairy tale over for Frenchman Quinton Hamlet, who will probably not advance because only your top driver transfers to the feature. Look at this scrap right now. This is Hamlet and Edmondson. So Edmondson now making his way past the Frenchman, and he is in the 3rd position, or maintains that position, I should say. So that was Edmondson defending. So for Connor Parisi, straight on the driver radio. I had that in one ear, Evan, and Connor Parisi apologizing to Hamlet, just misjudged the switchback. Connor Parisi is a class act.
Here comes Garrett Lowe. Watch out. The Bernani machine 4. Oh, and he made a mistake. Oh, and up and over the fence. Louis Lejeune jumps the K-rail, keeps on going. It was Garrett Lowe who saved the Joker for the final lap that shunted him off of the racetrack. He had come up just shy of Connor Parisi for the number 1 spot, and it is, in the end, the number 11 Subaru of Connor Parisi, who survives a melee of an LCQ to get grid spot number 9 in the feature. What a finish. What a race. All in all, top to bottom, a wild one.
Not the first time I've misjudged Garrett Lowe for a gap, because remember 2018 in Iowa, for those Rallycross fans, everybody was focusing on the 3-4 drivers battling for the lead, and then Garrett Lowe took victory after the collisions on the final lap. There are the results, so we wave goodbye to everybody below Connor Parisi. Class act, Connor Parisi. If taking last week off for your wife's birthday is no class act for you guys, and I don't know what is, as we head into the next and final consolation race, where we will take the final driver to the feature. Garrett Main's definitely your favorite out of this one, but we've got some quick drivers down the back. Marcus Matamoros, World Championship experience, couple of years to his name. Killian Delormo starting from 7th at the back of the pack as well. He's very quick in rallycross cars, represents set promotion. He's got a family of rallycross races. Oh boy, is he a chance from the back, if the Frenchman can keep it clean. That's the question of the day.
And I learned a little bit of math in that first LCQ.
Yeah.
And that's 8 cars plus the first 2 corners equals a wreck. And we'll see how this one shakes out. The inside really wasn't the place to be in that one. The outside really wasn't the place to be. And it was just a little bit of good old-fashioned luck on positioning. And Cintre Silva says, wait, I want to grab my popcorn before these guys send it off and into the first quarters. Know that this one's going to be a barn burner for certain. For the only spot left on the grid is for the race win in this one. We'll see how messy we get in our second LCQ of the evening. 3, 2, 1. The driver's told to look to the lights. They're going to get on the revs. And green flag out. We're racing for the final LCQ of the night. Mains the advantage to 1. Can he get away from the chaos? He breaks free. A challenge, a slide, and a save for Garrett Mains.
And what's happened down the back? Well, we've got 3 wide. One driver's not even on the tarmac, and goodness gracious, it's a clean start here at Atlanta. I shouldn't have said that because Del Olmo's, now that's going to be a slowdown penalty, so he'll have to slow down. Oh, and he does it on the racetrack as well. Does not care. That's the best euphemism I can come up with right now. Killian Del Olmo to the donk side. He's in the last position now. So to the Joker, we saw a couple of drivers come through. Our live timing and scoring will show us who that was in a moment's time. But at the moment, Garrett Mains seems to have that transfer position wrapped up. Kraus and Feldman take to the Joker, and that's why they're in first and second.
Yeah, so they open up an early advantage. Interval's going to cycle through this time, and we'll see just how much of an advantage it is. But they started 5th and 8th on the grid, and now they run in first and second. Remember, our magic number is somewhere in the 8.5-second range. They need more because Garrett Mains in third, only 5.8 seconds off the very top position. He opts not to go, but the number 236 machine does, and that'll be a new leader. Nice and easy for Fournier.
Yep, certainly. And Fournier out and away in the lead, unscathed. I can't believe last race, by the way, as we see Kraus battling here. Along with Feldman, and at the back of the pack. So where's Garrett Mains here? Oh, so there are your top 3. These are the 3 that have taken to the Joker. So Fournier, Kraus, Pelletier, they're going to continue away. Feldman as well involved. He's taken the Joker. So Garrett Mains, look at the gap. Garrett Mains has barely got the delta on Luke Fournier. That's incredible right now. He's 8 seconds the gap now, so he should have it right, Evan, because we've seen
he's going. Here we go.
He's got to go now. You're right. Great call by Garrett Mains. And, he hasn't got it.
To the bottom. Nice job by Garrett Mains. It was a good defensive move by Fournier, but Garrett Mains, I think, saw that interval and set him up and makes the pass for the top spot. So Mains and Fournier now back to 1-2. This is the battle for the transfer. You'll see Mains, that crown going to illuminate at the start-finish line. Checkmate, he's good to go. He's got his Joker out of the way. There's still a handful of drivers, the likes of Liebert and others, who I think still need to take that Joker, but you can see once you're double digits, plus 10, that's not going to be close enough unless something happens. Maybe the 2 and the 236 come to blows. You're on board with Fournier here. Who's not to say that they don't get physical for the top spot next time by the white flag?
Yeah, they might throw fists for sure here. Let's ride on board with Fournier, catch a glimpse of what Atlanta's like and what it's like to scrap for a transfer position. So over the jump, finish line coming up, and you begin a lap here. 205 kilometers an hour heading into this braking zone. It's the final lap, and we don't think Fournier's got enough as he hunts down Garrett Mains for the transfer position. Liebert's not even close. He's got to somehow put some nitrous oxide at the rear end of that Subaru to promote himself up the order. We think Garrett Mains has done it. This is your best overtaking spot, in my opinion, into turn 7. But unless he can outbrake, he's whacked the barrier as well. Yeah, game over.
Just tried to get too much out of it. He could see that Garrett Mains was running away with this one, just overcooked it a little bit that time. So the left-hander in 6, and Garrett Mains going to hang on from the top spot. Wasn't a walk in the park, but Garrett Mains will survive the LCQ number 2 winner, and he is the 10th and final driver. Let's go into our feature.
Great start from Garrett Mains, making up for last week. I wasn't happy with some of his driving etiquette last week, but he's a good talent, and this is back where he belongs in the feature races of Rallycross events. He's certainly a star in Rallycross, makes it through. Goodbye to everybody else. Matamoros, Del Olmo involved in incidents at the start. Good stuff from Canadian Luke Kraus, who filled in towards the end of last season. And in the World Championship, received a license based on absentees and other reasons as well. For Fournier, though, unfortunately, he doesn't make it through. And he's the first to miss out of those 7 behind. But Garrett Mains, we'll see him in a few minutes' time, because that feature race is coming up. 10 laps of action, 1 Joker, and 1 trophy to hand out, the first position.
Couple more minutes of warm-up left, and we're going to go racing. We've already handed out a feature race checkered flag to Connor Martell in the pro side of the evening. It's time to go for the sim racers. The 10-lap feature is next from Atlanta on RaceSpot TV.
Today's new cars have upwards of 100 computers in them, and a dashboard rivaled only by a commercial airliner. But wouldn't it be nice to really know what all that does for you? At Roadshow, we demystify the world of modern transportation with reviews of your next car, the latest news on what's changing the industry, and videos covering every screen and every new feature you'll encounter in the driver's seat. Get informed, get smart, and get going with Roadshow.
Back live from the Peach State in the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway. RaceSpot TV's coverage of the iRacing Rallycross All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama. Tonight brought to you in part by iRacing. The NASCAR next-gen cars are here, and you can try them today on iRacing. Now's the time to get in on the action with the future of NASCAR, iRacing, Rallycross, or any other form of racing you can imagine. New users can get their first year for just $20.22 right now if you use the promo code PR-2022, that's 2022, next gen at iRacing.com. But hurry up because that offer expires tomorrow. Coverage also brought to you by Yokohama. There's one thing that separates first place from the rest of the pack, the finish line. High performance, race inspired Yokohama Audubon tires give you the drive to win. Discover Audubon at yokohamatire.com. Well, happy that you've been with us all evening long here for this special presentation of iRacing on RaceSpot TV with our producer Tyler Maxon and myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside Jonathan Saban. And it has been a barn burner of an evening all the way from Sonoma back over to the East Coast here in Atlanta, Johnny. But one feature left, and it's due up next, a 10-lap, 10-car sprint with these pro sim racers. Will we see a third different race winner of the year? We're going to find out.
And every driver at Atlanta who has taken pole position has ended up taking race victory here, from Mitchell DeYoung in 2019, Sammy Matty Trogan in the inaugural event in 2019, to John Robertson in 2020 in Atlanta's only race here around the long layout. We've also had races around the short layout here as well in the past. Certainly possible for the Finn. He's a class act, one of the top talents in Rallycross on iRacing. He's a former World Championship race winner. He won that race at Daytona. He won the season finale at Sonoma too. He's no stranger to victory lane, but he's got a Frenchman named Johan Hart right next to him at the start who's ready to challenge, and he's a world champion. He's definitely accustomed to race wins and championships.
And just as the story was in Sonoma, the massive undercut for the Joker, I think, it'd be the primary strategy play in this. The race may not be decided there. The race may be decided if you can survive the first double apexer to the front straightaway on the start of this race. It's been tough for 6. We'll see how we handle it with 10 cars. But if you're fortunate enough to survive that, getting yourself some space and timing out when you want to take that one mandatory Joker lap, I think it'd be the key, strategy-wise at least, to see who ends up on the top of the board when this thing is said and done. We're ready to go racing for the feature. Let's take a look at our starting grid. Of course, those are your heat winners top of the board with Jani Alakainen and Johan Hart, 1 and 2. Those are your 2 previous race winners from already this year. Of course, Hart, the race winner from Brands Hatch, and Ollie Conrad, race winner just last week at Barcelona. But you got McIntyre, Fox at the second row, Kevin Atlas Jr. and Jake Robertson through the top 6 positions. Bo Albert, John Robertson alongside with Connor Parise and Garrett Maines, the 6 drivers that are going to do battle, and we'll line them up 2 by 2, about 5 rows deep for that runoff and into the first corner. Staggered start, of course, and we'll see how this one shakes out. This could be a thriller. Drivers up and on the revs. 3, 2, 1. Told to look for the lights. And the green flag is in the air. We are feature racing from Atlanta. 4 wide for the second spot to turn 1. But on the very outside of the front row, it is Johan Harth who clears the chaos. Josh Fox getting turned around mid-pack, but clear up front is the 90.
And this is where we had a wreck in the feature race start here in 2019. All clean so far, heading into the real turn 1 now, as they all single file through here as well. So one of the Apex cars there, that's so down the back of the pack, that would be Kevin Ellis Jr. They're in some trouble. Johan Harth to the Joker though, Ollie Kynan to the donk slide. That makes strategy very interesting.
Jake Robertson had quite a big slide, a miraculous save by him as Bo Albert gave him a little bit extra. Those two stay together, and a handful of battles all throughout the running order in this one. But first time over the ramps and back down to the start-finish straight. Lap number 1 of 10 in the back pocket. And up in front is Johan Harth getting that Joker out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all completed early. There's always going to be, Johnny, a Hail Mary at the end. Someone's always going to keep it in their back pocket, but these fast cars up front opting to race each other out, and this group you're watching is for second on to back because Harth is already 2+ seconds into the race lead.
So it's a race on lap time now. Ollie Kynan's got to put in the times and basically scream himself up the order. It's a time attack mode. That's how they qualify for this for some of them. And Harth has also got to do the same from the front. That's what it's going to be based on, and we could see a battle down to the final lap here between the two. Mäkinen also in with a shot of a podium. He's got the gap on Robertson in the second position. 2 Robertsons in this heat, don't get confused. Jake Robertson's in second. John Robertson down the order, the 86 in the last position. He has had no luck to his side in this event. He's certainly got the pace to finish top 5 here today. So 4 drivers not taking to the Joker, and look at the chaos that's ensuing here through the donk slide. You can barely see who's coming through the dust here. There is so many drivers on track at the same time as we ride on board with Josh Fox in the 5th position.
Drove it the wrong way. Yeah, he drove it off at the racetrack trying to get to the inside. Parise there wasn't able to get a spot. This one a 2-way battle for 4th and 5th position. Fox doing his best to get up to the bottom. There's not room in this next set of corners to go too wide into 1, 2, and 3. Very tight. Right, left, right. Fox wants to play chicken. They're going to touch, and he will force his way through. Josh Fox going to make the pass for position number 4. What a drive, and now we'll see if he can pull away or if Parise can put it back to him.
Yeah, yoink the handbrake to the donk slide. Good stuff. Bit of Scandinavian flick as well. Why not? We ride on board with him again. Up into the 4th position. Fox no stranger, like we said, to Rallycross machinery. He's raced in every World Championship. Probably the most underrated driver in the history of the World Championship. Always seems to find his way to the top and goes unnoticed from time to time. The American from Pennsylvania. He's a big sports fan. Good luck to his Philadelphia 76ers later in the playoffs this year. Here's Frenchman Johan Harth. He won't be worried about that. He will be worried about the gap to Ollie Kynan. Ollie Kynan's gained a 10th or 2 since that first lap of the event, and he's whacked the wall there to the inside. Will that damage cost the Frenchman a little bit of pace, and maybe the pace he needs for victory? There to the Joker is Ollie Kynan. Maybe he shouldn't have taken it. To the inside goes the Finn. This is a squabble for the lead here between the two. This is personal.
On the curbs, they touch. Ollie Kynan going to try to force his way through, but Johan Harth skies it, nose up, not giving up. 5 laps to go. The 2 title weights, your previous race winners from already this year, both trying to become the first repeat winner in 2021, and Hearth survived that exchange, but Ollie Kahnen is not going to go away through the donk slide to the inside. Doesn't make the move, and this is a great time, I think, to be Jake Robertson in third. He's got a heck of a view and a good chance if those two come close again. I wonder Hearth now pulling away if that was Ollie Kahnen's one opportunity.
Yeah, and I think he took it too early. I think he should have waited for sure. He wouldn't have known about the damage to Johan Hearth. That happened about 1-2 seconds before the decision to go to the Joker. But I certainly think he should have waited at least to the second to last lap, because trying to overtake around this circuit on the racetrack is very difficult. The Joker was his best shot. So Finn now has learned a lesson there. And this could be the order for the end. Jake Robertson, like you said, good spot as well, Evan. He is looming. He's very quick in rallycross cars. He's been inconsistent, never finished on the podium in a World Championship or Invitational event either. This will be a good opportunity for him to maximize his points on the podium.
Tommy Mäkinen also still very much in this race. You take a look, only he and John Robertson, the drivers who have yet to go for the Joker. The interview with Mäkinen is 8.9 seconds as he runs way back at a number 9 spot now, but that would put him right in the middle of all of this when he takes that Joker, presumably, if he follows the strategy that he's been doing so far tonight, on the last lap of the race. So it is very much a battle now between Hearth and Ollie Kahnen, but do not count out Mäkinen back in traffic in P9, just on the cusp of being inside that delta for the Joker to bring him inside of the battle for the race lead. Still doesn't take it this time by, and the top two pretty even. Hearth a little bit too much into the grass, I thought, that time, and but it cost him some time for the top position as we take a look at Josh Fox trying to get up to Bo Albert in an exchange for 5 and 6.
Mäkinen's got to go for the Joker next time by, and that's a great scrap between he and Robertson. That's Jake Robertson in third. Both of them never scored a podium. We've mentioned that. And who will snatch it here today? Mäkinen's coming up to traffic, though. Garrett Main's about a second up the road. He's got to take the Joker this time by. You're watching the squabble between Bo Albert and Josh Fox. Bo Albert somehow found his way ahead of Josh Fox. And Mäkinen in the background. Will he take to the Joker? He's just had a shot. I can't see. He does, yep. So I'm watching off screen. Mäkinen to the Joker.
Oh, they're going to touch for second. Mäkinen got into the door of Jake Robertson. So he pulled alongside for third. But, Johnny, he just lost too much time in that last lap. That 8.8 second interval was about a 9.2. When he actually pulled the trigger, he just was not as fast as those top four, and it put him in a great spot to fight for third, but not enough to challenge for the lead. And now we know our top four, they've all figured it out last lap. If you got anything, now's the time to pull it out.
Well, they were asked to draw, and Tommy Mäkinen just drew too late. And unfortunately, the square off doesn't end Tommy Mäkinen's way. Went for one last move there at the donk slide. It's not enough. How about this? Look at this to the Joker. John Robertson has somehow found the gap. He's going to snatch a podium out of nowhere from his brother, Jake Robertson. John Robertson spoils the day. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because Johan Hearth will be our first repeat winner in Rallycross in the All-Star Invitational.
Did it in the opener at Brands Hatch and does it this afternoon at Atlanta. Johan Hearth, your winner of the iRX All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama, joins Connor Parise as your race winners for Week 3. Parise, the pro winner from earlier this evening in Sonoma, and Hearth gets his second Sim Checkered Flag of the Year, the first repeat winner outright. And as we take a look at your RaceSpot TV full race results, he had to do it against the best, Jonathan, with Jani Akalainen in the number 2 position, or Alakainen, I should say, in the number 2 spot. Those were the two, right? We saw this brewing in the heats. When they started up front, they won their heats, thought that this could be a battle of the heavyweights, and it did come down to those two in a brilliant fight.
Well, I'm excited for the World Championship in 2021. We've had some good years in the past. Hearth has won his World Championship. You'll be hungry for more for sure. But Ollie Kahnen certainly got some work to do after taking pole and heat win. And he's the first driver not to hat trick at Atlanta in the history. And it's not an easy task to do, but for Ollie Kahnen, he'll know that maybe that Joker strategy, did he pull the trigger too early? He'll have to review that one for sure, but it's all in a bit of good fun. Some of these drivers have come in with minimal practice, but John Robertson, at the end of the day, will take that podium and snatch it from his brother. How about that? That's going to be an awkward dinner tonight, don't you reckon, at the dinner table between those two? And then Tommi Mäkinen rounds out the top 5. That's not the best I've seen Tommi Mäkinen drive, but in his first return appearance to Rallycross, brilliant job by him. He rounds out the top 5.
Oh, certainly a respectable showing there, just ahead of the likes of Kevin Ellis and Bo Albert. They had a bit of a touch, and they're discussing how that race went here post-race amongst themselves. Josh Fox, who looked to be good off at the top, comes home at 8th position. 9th in this feature belongs to Connor Parise, and Garrett Maines at the back of the field in position number 10. It's a look top to bottom at your full race results here from Atlanta. Let's go down trackside and talk with your race winner. Jonathan, you're standing by with Johan Hart.
Hey, Johan Hart, have we got you first of all, mate?
Yep.
Perfect, mate. You are live right now. We're speaking to you post-race. Well done, man, on victory. Welcome back. Again, second victory in the All-Star Invitational. Man, I enjoyed that scrap between you and Yoni. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, that was super fun. I just told him thanks for the race, because, yeah, it's not every day that, you can have such a good battle, especially in Rallycross. So, yeah, thanks to Yoni again for that.
Well, let's not cover...
I think
go on. Sorry, mate.
I think that was the best battle I had yet in iRX. Been doing that for 2 or 3 years, and yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It was certainly the best I've seen in Rallycross in terms of how clean it was and how fair it was between the two. And let's not cover things up. Your Apex team, of course, the Apex Racing team, and the Set Promotion guys, you guys have had your arguments over the past couple of years, so it's good to see a friendly battle between the two.
It's not always been easy between the two teams, but yeah, I respect Yoni. I think he respects me, so yeah, I guess that's the perfect way to have a good battle.
Be honest with us too, mate. How much practice has gone into this one? Nothing? 3 laps?
A fair bit. Done quite a few laps for the qualifier. Done maybe 30, 40 runs. Yeah. After that, we've done 2-3 practice races with the guys just to practice launches. I think it paid off. So we've seen the start, but yeah, not as much practice as we'd put in for World Championship, but still a fair bit.
Yeah, and mate, we saw you hit the wall on the donk slide. So that was when Yoni, you remember, took to the Joker just a couple corners later. But had he known that, he might have saved his Joker. I was very surprised he took the Joker so early. I would have thought he would have gone for it with a couple laps to go.
I was surprised too. Didn't expect him. I didn't even see him, to be fair. I had nobody spotting for me, so I was just looking at the F3 box by myself, and I just saw him popped in the F3 box. I was, what is he doing here?
Were you monitoring the gaps? Because at one point he was, I think, 9.1 or 9 seconds behind. Then it got to 8.9. So I thought he was going to save it to the final couple of laps. I don't know if you knew he was catching you, like, not by much, but you know what I mean, by a 10th or 2.
Yeah, I was checking it every lap at the line. I was monitoring the gap, so yeah. I knew it was getting closer and closer, but I didn't expect him to take Joker that early.
Yeah, final thing, mate. How's this feel to be back in a Rallycross car? 3rd event for you. I know it's not an official series event, but it's certainly a World Championship style event on the big stage. Good to be back, man, doesn't it?
Yeah, super good to be back, especially with races like that. And yeah, hopefully it's good prep for us for the World Championship, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, we'll see, mate. Good luck to yourself later on. Hopefully you're back in a few weeks at Charlotte.
Yep, I will. No problem with that.
Perfect. Perfect, mate. We'll leave you to it. So that was Johan Hart there, Evan, who was $10,000 richer last year and had a World Championship trophy to his name. Won't throw this one off the desk, I know, Johan, like he did with one of his previous racing trophies after he got angry. But well done to him. The Frenchman wins this event, and we don't speak to Yoni or John Robertson. We don't have him at the moment. Actually, Evan, just as I say that, Yoni Ollikainen's popped in.
Yeah, I think let's try to get a word with your 2nd and 3rd place finishers. Yanni, you got a copy?
Yes.
We appreciate you jumping in. Congratulations on a 2nd place finish. Tell us about that race there with Johan and going for the undercut there on the Joker about halfway, getting right to him.
Yeah, that was actually quite fun race. I think it was maybe the most fun I have had in sim racing. It was so close fight, and it was always clean, so it was really fun. Just missed out on the start, but yeah, then after the start the pace was quite good, but didn't quite manage to overtake Johan.
You got a little bit stuck in the weeds there on that opening lap you mentioned through the first corner. I think you got a little bit of a touch. I think it might have been Mäkinen who got into you there and cost you a little bit of time. But the decision to go for the Joker at midway, Johnny was just talking with Johan, said that caught him off guard. Talk us about that choice.
Yeah, on the lap 2, lap 3 and lap 4, I think I was a bit faster than Johan, but in lap 5 maybe, I think. But yeah, the lap before I went to Joker, Johan was a bit faster than me, so we, with my spotter, we just thought that it's the best option to go Joker now. And yeah, it was close, but didn't quite manage to overtake.
You got the race win just last week at Barcelona, and now a second in this one. I know you mentioned it's maybe some of the most fun you've had here on the service. As you know, doing a series like this where there isn't World Championship points on the line, and you and Johan and some of these other guys can just go out there and race for fun. Does that make this that much fun for you?
Yeah, it was really fun, but yeah, I hope we can have races like this in World Championship also. And I think so, as in the top 5, top 10, there are great drivers and we can fight cleanly but hard, so I think we can have a good season.
It was a great show tonight. Yanni, I appreciate you sticking around and chatting with us. Congratulations on the P2.
Thank you.
Second place finisher here for the virtual Atlanta Motor Speedway for Yanni Alakainen comes home in second, and John Robertson was in the battle of the Robertsons. Johnny, that you were talking about, you're down with the driver who comes home third.
Hey, John Robertson, first of all, mate, it's good to get your bad luck out early in the season and not at the final round like you did last year, because we know you had the pace up there for race victory today.
Yeah, that race was really fun. Like you said, I don't know how much it was good luck, because I was just playing it really patient on the first lap. I don't know if you saw it, but I was literally crawling around, not trying to gain any positions, just waiting for the race to get started. And then, yeah, we had good pace through the whole race, made a couple moves to move up, and then joked on the last lap. Yeah, just making good use of the clean air that we had by not jokering.
Well, I meant back to your heat, mate, because you started on pole and unfortunately shuffled out to the rear end of the order. Then the good luck finally swung your way at the end. Now, the good news for you is you've scored a podium. The bad news is it's going to be a little bit awkward at the dinner table with Jake.
Yeah, I actually forgot about the heat there. Yeah, it was fun, but that was close coming off the Joker. I actually didn't know where he was, so I didn't know how much room to leave on the Joker exit. But yeah, he left me some space. He stayed quite tight to the wall, so I'm grateful for that. Yeah, it was good that we were all up there at the end of it.
And I asked Johan this, but you've been practicing as well, not as much as you would for the World Championship, but certainly put some laps in, it seems like it.
Yeah, definitely been just trying to get back used to driving the Rallycross cars. We all had a nice long break after the World Championship, so we were a little bit rusty when we first started, but yeah, we're starting to get into a bit of a routine now. I know it'll be good to kind of carry this forward into the pro qualifying series and into the World Championships as well. I mean, it's looking good so far.
But you still do data packs and stuff like that, so if anything, you're still driving these cars. It's not like you've never jumped into the cockpit of one of these for a few months. Yeah,
for sure. I've been driving them, so I guess I've got a bit of an advantage over the other guys just because I've been doing a little bit here and there with the data packs. But it's kind of the whole mentality of getting into a race and stuff like that, which you need to get back into that, you know. Just the whole preparation side of it. The driving, for sure, I had a bit of an advantage going into this, but yeah, it's good to get back into the racing. These races have been really enjoyable so far.
Well said. All right, we'll leave you to it. Jonathan Robertson, P3, well done. Another podium to his name. And Evan, we are really, I mean, this is no stranger for John Robertson to be up in the top 3. He's done a brilliant job here today, and hopefully he can replicate this in the World Championship later on. This is where he took his first career victory, and you'll be hoping to do the same later on in 2021.
And a big thanks to John and Yanni and Johan for sticking around and chatting with us a little bit post-race. And to that point, before we recap tonight's action, I'm going to touch on that because I think this is all just one giant advertisement and, just a way to get people to tune in for that World Championship because, these sim drivers, we knew that it was going to be an incredible drive tonight. We saw that here on the second half at Atlanta. It was fun to see the real-world pro side of things, if you will, the pro half of our category earlier tonight with that race at Sonoma. And with that, I think that bookends a great afternoon of racing and certainly enjoyed it.
Yep, certainly did, and we head over to Charlotte in a few weeks' time as well. Now, we say NASCAR town, Evan. Somebody told me, now you need to educate me with NASCAR here because you're the expert. I thought Mooresville, North Carolina was NASCAR town, or has somebody told me some false information?
You got Mooresville, and there's Kannapolis and Concord, and it's all NASCAR town. Just
everything with a 50-mile radius around Charlotte.
Yeah,
is
you go northeast to Charlotte, and it's all NASCAR town. And Charlotte Motor Speedway, located in Concord, it's all part of Charlotte and NASCAR town. It's fun. I connect through the Charlotte airport, and they got the Stock Car Cafe. It is a good time out there in North Carolina, and a treat to see these NASCAR ovals like Atlanta here today. Ripped up and dirt put on it. Reminds me of a Monster Jam event that I was at here at Atlanta just a couple of weeks ago where we destroyed the track pretty good and covered it up in dirt. And let's talk about that track at Charlotte because we're going to go back to what we saw in April, right? Both of our categories of racers are going to be on the same track when we head to Charlotte in 3 weeks.
Yep, certainly. I like to see that as well. First time we head to Charlotte in a World Championship type rallycross event here on iRacing. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. One of 3 brand new circuits brought to the service since last year's World Championship. Should almost certainly see it on the World Championship schedule, although provisional, not released, and we haven't got a feeling for what that schedule will be, but it's very likely Charlotte will be on that schedule. So good to see the racing there. It's a very interesting joker for sure. Uses some of the road layout, some of the oval too. Boy, it's going to be a good one to watch in early June.
The good news is you're not going to have to wait till June to get more live sim racing action here on RaceSpot TV as the month of May continues. We got the fixed 500 coming up this weekend, and then 1 week later, it is the 12th annual iRacing Indianapolis 500, so certainly a lot coming here on RaceSpot TV. But until next time, from Sonoma and now from Atlanta, that'll do it here for us tonight on RaceSpot TV. So on behalf of our entire team at RaceSpot TV, our partners with iRacing and Yokohama, for our producer downstairs, Tyler Maxton, for Jonathan Saban and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate tonight's winners, Connor Bartel and Johan Harth. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time on June the 1st. It is the season finale. That race and every race of the 2021 iRacing Rallycross All-Star Invitational presented by Yokohama can be found exclusively here on RaceSpot TV. Until next time, good night, and we'll see you in Charlotte.